to go? It's about time.
It's time.
Sure.
You want to run the meeting?
You can. I think that'd be more efficient.
Okay, well, either way, it doesn't matter to me. Okay, well, let's call the meeting then to order, and let's all say the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just talked to Dawn here while you were gone a little bit. I was trying to remember what we decided last week, Alexis, on what we should pursue first. Was we just going to go over the accounts payable and receivable and payroll first?
She did send us an agenda. I don't remember that it had that on it specifically, did it?
No, I just left the first half hour empty to do whatever business you wanted to do.
Okay, well, yeah, let's start there. I did have some questions on the payroll, so we can start with that.
Okay, we'll do the payroll here. And the accounts payable.
First note would be the topic of department heads turning in their information for transfers and they needed their estimated accounts payable that they don't have bills for, and there's nothing on that, correct, Dawn?
No, I did not receive anything from any of the departments. Did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you.
Okay.
Is that something we've had trouble with every year, or?
We do have 2 new department heads, but I spoke to both of them multiple times. I don't think that I should have to keep repeating myself to provide it. The other 2 departments that normally have transfers is Noxious Weed and Health Department, and they used to contact me, and they stopped contacting me a couple of years ago, and I continue to do their transfers. I did do the fire districts. I normally do because they don't know where they're at, so I do that for them at their request. I did do the special building where I felt like it should be at. So the resolutions that I sent you guys and that I'll give you guys too. And Jim already has his. The first 4 resolutions, I don't know what I did with it. I probably attached them with something else. It's okay. Randy, you can look at those.
Yeah,
And
I did online already.
Emailed him. So the first 4 resolutions, one's the transportation bus fund. That would be the remaining distribution of the $20,000. Normally we do that in September, but he hasn't really needed the money. But he will need the money to make payroll and accounts payable. I did the fire districts, the special equipment fund, the capital improvement fund from county general. And of course, you can't really do those resolutions till after you approve the amended budgets because some of them are affected by that. I did do a health department estimated one, but I really have no idea. It's a lot more than what it has been in years past, so I don't know what you guys want to do. All of these transfers, except for the fire department and the transportation bus, is kind of up to you. Otherwise, the fire departments, we try to transfer as much money as possible so that they can build up their special equipment funds to purchase new equipment.
But you're saying the other departments could be transferred into the capital improvement for the entire county general?
Just the county general, yes. So that one I feel pretty confident with. Or you can leave it in county general and reduce the tax levy for the next year. I was just thinking of the projects that you have. We know that we need to do something on the courthouse. I don't know what those expenses will cost. So if we put it in the capital improvement fund, you have the money already sitting there. Because technically you only levy $20,000 for special building expenses throughout the year. So that $20,000 would be gone very quickly.
So do you have an estimate for the totals of those departments combined?
For the county general? Or
right.
Yes, if you give me 1 second, I'll open that.
Oh, okay.
It's basically going to look like that little snippet that I emailed to you guys out. It's
Okay.
just in an Excel spreadsheet. So county general, we combine everybody, so everything that's in Fund 10 gets smushed together. And I have that we would have an ending cash carryover of $216,251, and that is already adjusted by the required amount. And an amount of remaining budget of $213,895 across all of the funds in the county general. And that is with the $100,000 amended budget. If you do not amend the budget, then that number goes down. And then I show that last year we had $31,404 in prior year expense. We really don't know what some of those bills are. Some of them are utility bills. I can tell you that we were not able to get Kansas gas service bill, so that will be kind of heftier because it is winter time. Hannah called today, and they apparently have changed us to they have changed all of their mass accounts, or what they call master accounts, to a different billing period. And so we are probably going to have to move that bill to start paying it mid-month, because they're not going to cut off till the 28th, and we should receive a bill, or basically not the 28th. They're going to cut off on the 31st. But she said in January they are supposed to cut off on the 28th, but that's not enough time for us to get our bills in. So that's the only major expense that we have that I know of. Sheriff's Department hasn't been billed for fuel for 3 months, so that's going to be a major expense that's going to come in, I'm assuming. Other than that, most of the departments are smaller.
In your email, it says I'll do a little more research to make sure that it isn't a max of 25% accumulated amongst all the funds.
Okay, that is for...
Did you do that?
No, I have not. I'm going to do that while you guys are meeting today.
Okay.
That is just for the road and bridge part. So,
okay. That's why you have the $610,000 number.
yes. So that one is limited. I think you can do 25% of your budget transferred to each of those special, but I want to make sure it's not a combined. But regardless, unless you guys are thinking that I'm underestimating or overestimating, I'm thinking around $575,000 to be safe, but I have no idea because nothing was provided to me.
Okay. I can see half the room is Mr. Mackay there on the other side.
Yep, I'm here.
Do you happen to have those end of the year numbers for us now?
No, I thought we had talked about that our last meeting where we were going to put a portion into the special road because they did chip seal this year, and the rest we put into we couldn't put in special bridge, but it'd be the
I
special
know, but
equipment.
we need to know what the rest means as far as numbers.
I did not have that number. I thought that was what we had discussed last week, so that was my mistake for not having that.
Okay.
So I guess we'll just go ahead and review the accounts payable and payroll.
Okay, so my first question on the payroll then, let's go to that. There were 2 checks for the treasurer, one with her regular pay listed under her department, and that was for $3,484, and then at the very end, there's another check to the treasurer for $5,520.
Correct. So the state of Kansas has, because she does motor vehicles, that the treasurer's office, the treasurer can take X amount of dollars, and I can go and pull that. But I want to say it's like $1.10 per transaction gets paid to the treasurer for managing that service. And then after so many, then it's like spins back. So if, and I'm just going to throw random numbers out, but say after 2,000 transactions, then it's a little bit less, and after so many more transactions. And so she does that every single year. And I think probably almost all of the treasurers across the state of Kansas do that.
Okay, I I guess I didn't realize that's what that meant. So it's basically like a bonus check based on how many motor vehicle transactions there were.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's in the Kansas
So
Association.
at almost, at 5,500, that's almost 500 a month.
Yes, and I did talk to her about, would she want to maybe try to do that monthly, but the previous treasurer always did it once per year, and I feel like she thinks that that's the way that she needs to do that, is the once per year. But she could even do it quarterly if she wanted to.
I guess my only comment on it is we need to be aware of that when we talk about pay rates for positions, because we have almost all of the elected officials have given themselves raises after we hired the new department head for the highway department, and so everybody bumped themselves up to that 60,000 a year mark from wherever they were. And so just thinking in the future, I shouldn't say everyone, I don't believe the registered deeds did.
No, she did not. And the treasurer didn't either, and she said partly because she just didn't have the budget in the county general to do so. Now,
Well, I guess that's what I'm just making sure I point that out for the commission, that, thinking about the pay rate there, it's actually, almost, let's say $450 a month more by the end of the year than what it looks like monthly on that particular paycheck for that position. And I did do a little bit of research into that. Elected officials have the authority to expend their budget as they see fit. So when they give themselves raises, they can do that as it was done. However, if we do formulate this pay scale, the elected officials have to stick to the pay scale. So when we create the pay scale, if we create a dollar amount for a paycheck for each elected official, they can't necessarily raise that themselves without approval of the commission. So I wanted the commission to be aware of that.
So this 5520, now that doesn't come out of our budget. That's like a bonus from the state to
it
her?
comes out of that Fund 180, her special motor vehicle fund.
Oh, okay.
And each year she pretty much puts money back into county general, normally around the $20,000 mark. Now, some counties fund the treasurer's office, like they'll have separate staff. So Saline County has that satellite office. They will take all of that money out of the special equipment fund, or out of that special motor vehicle fund, and fund their staff that staffs that and the office expense.
Okay.
But
in other words, it's not being levied, but it's a portion of everybody's payment when they pay their motor vehicle tax.
now, ever since I have been here, they've never offset wages by that, but apparently prior to that, when Donna West was the treasurer, they did offset employees' wages by that, so they would give them like 25 cents an hour out of that fund, but they've never done that since I've been an employee. But it can be done, and it is appropriate if that's what you guys so choose to do. You just wouldn't have the transfer that comes into the county general at the end of the year.
Well, you could think of it as in how you're justifying your office staff. I mean, if it takes one office staff X amount of hours per week to perform the functions of the motor vehicle, and at the end of the year, you've actually collected $1 something per transaction, and it turns out to be $5,000, that's technically, $400 and some you're spending on that particular function in that office. So it's an internal reimbursement, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going directly to the treasurer, not necessarily to the one person in the office who performs that function, because I assume they all do.
Well, that particular dollar amount, I believe, is in the state statute exactly what they will pay and how they will pay it. And that is set to go to the treasurer. Now, could she decline it? Yes, she probably could. But then the remaining amount of the fees that are collected is to help offset the costs to the county to take care of the transactions of the motor vehicle office. So, I mean, it could be used to pay for equipment. It could be used to pay for salaries if that's what you so desired.
The other question I had, I forget, what does S-Pay stand for?
S-Pay? Sick.
Yeah.
That would be the extended illness. So our system only has vacation or sick time. So anybody that's on leave is a V. Anybody that's on extended illness is an S for sick.
Okay.
Because we didn't pay to do the special programming to get that to change.
Okay. But it's still part of their PTO.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the time that they have to be off three full days or 24 hours before they can start using that time.
Okay. And then I noticed that we had quite a few extra payments out of EMS, and I assume a lot of that is back pay to some of the volunteers for time that they put in, and how far back is that going? Is that just 1 month's worth?
I think that's just 2018. That would be the standby. I tried to notate it. Let me see what prints out on you guys. Okay, it didn't come out. It's on their paycheck stubs, but if it was, I tried to put it in as a separate pay. So
yeah, I
if,
think several checks per person.
okay, so if it's $30, that is the standby for a football game. $60 is the wrestling match. He did go back for 2018 for that. And then I believe there was 2 runs that he gave me time for 2018. Nothing for 2017. And he gave me some runs for 2019 that hadn't been paid.
Okay, so you're saying we still need to go back into 2017 and do that entire year?
Well, it's
I don't know.
an auxiliary fact, but Mr. Shirley called me today, and he'd received a bill for an ambulance run in 2017, and he took it up with the health department, and they informed him that they couldn't recreate those records, and they would just write that off for him. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the case in every case or what. It's too late to file with your cleanup insurance company, and that's why they rid his off, because they couldn't file anymore.
Well, we discussed this last week.
I think that's 2 separate things.
Yeah.
That's patient side. She's asking about employee side.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can go back to that, the ambulance billing. I guess I was just talking about the payroll portion of it. So we're almost caught up, but Dawn, are you saying we still have to do 2017?
You guys had told him to do 2017 and 2018. He did
Yes.
2018. I don't know about 2017.
Okay. Okay. And are we caught up in 19?
As far as I know.
God bless you. I think those are all the questions I had. These other separate pays out of personal services, those are for the fire departments.
The ones that would be towards the bottom,
Uh-huh.
yes. So Fund 90, 91, 93, 95, 90, 91, and 92, those are the fire department guys. And I don't know what they pay them for. Some of them is maintenance on their equipment, some of them it's for doing the secretarial works and the reporting to the state.
Okay.
But most of them get paid quarterly except for Mr. Krapke and Sylvan, and he gets paid his monthly.
Okay, I noticed that. Okay. That's, I don't have any other questions. Everything looks fine to me.
Would you like a motion?
Yeah, I'd entertain a motion to approve the payroll.
I move that we approve the payroll for 11/02, dated 29 December 2019.
Yeah, the amount is,
And the amount
Second.
is, I'm amounting here, $219,159.28.
do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the payroll for 11, what date here?
It's for 12/31.
For 12/31, yeah.
End of the month, yeah.
19. We have, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried, none opposed. Now we can look at accounts payable here. I had a couple questions on accounts payable here,
Okay.
Don, but you probably.
I have invoices, so you ask away.
Well, no, I'm not questioning anything. I just maybe don't know what some things are.
That's okay. I don't either, so we'll learn together.
If I can find out, I looked at it before and had a question. Well, you had that one telephone or something services, and it was like for
Oh, several thousand, the phone connection?
yeah.
That is the new phone system. So once we went to Eagle, of course, we had to upgrade our telephone system here in the courthouse and the health department. So part of that is out of the health department's fund, and the other part is here in the courthouse to update the equipment.
It's called the phone connection, huh?
Yes.
And it was for $16,800. Okay, I know we approved that. I just didn't know that was the name of what we were paying. Okay.
And eventually, it will pay off that by the savings of the telephone,
Okay.
which we're probably at a third of the cost that we were paying before, so.
I was curious as why at Western Cooperative we had a couple of wrong payments. Was that clerical errors on somebody's part? And it, you know, they were paid off, and I just wondered 3 times.
And Brendan, I got a kind of question for you, and I think you answered this before. You buy quite a few tires from that Pumps Tire Service. Where's that, Salina?
Salina's
Are they like the best place to go, you think? Or yeah, I noticed you just
for
get a lot of business to them. That's fine.
Probably
that's
not
what we
worth the
talked
trouble.
about,
I
those
just thought it was a
rims, ordering
curiosity.
rims from them.
Oh yeah, those
She
rims.
thought that was cheaper than
Right.
here.
Okay.
And then they service our heavy equipment tires
Okay.
and greater tires. They're the dealer for them in the area, and they're a national company. They used to be Cross Midwest, and they got bought out by Palms, which is a national distributor of tires.
Okay, so what it's showing is that on Western Cooperative, she picked up and paid the total charges due and not the current charges due.
Okay.
So our bills cross in the mail, and so when she picked up the total charges due, then she also picked up what she paid in October.
Okay,
Or it says in
yeah.
September for October.
I was just curious. I just saw something unusual there.
Oh, and I have
Thank you.
one. Well, it's maybe a question to you, Brendan, about Kansas Department of Transportation. I see we paid for a road safety plan, $5,150.
That was the local road safety plan that we talked about, that we had signature of. We're in the second round of it. So for the High Rural Road Program, going forward, this next letting of it, anyone can apply for it. The following year, if you've not done a local road safety plan, you're not eligible for those funds to apply for that.
Oh, okay. That's
So
you
it's
told us
yeah,
about
so
that.
it's something,
before.
there has already been one stage of counties in the state of Kansas. We're in stage 2. We got selected for that. And with cost sharing, we pay 5,000, they pay
45,000. So it's a 90/10.
Right, you explained it before. Thanks again. I kind of forgot it. Now you brought it back to my memory. Yeah, you got to kind of pay this to get into the.
Yeah, so they're going to
grant
develop
policy.
a local road safety plan. So
Right.
there's been some conference calls that Brendan has been on.
once a month.
Once a month.
Okay.
Give an update. So they're going to identify like 10 safety projects around the county. And then you can apply to the High Risk Road Program with one of those projects. So some of them might be signage or striping or who knows what they are going to identify. And then that's a 90/10 split. So if we use the High Risk Road Program and apply for one of those safety projects, then it's the state pays 90, the county pays 10.
Okay.
So it's kind of an investment.
Right, yeah, you
To get
explained
hundreds
it.
out of it,
You
yeah.
explained it before a month ago, so I
Except
forgot.
the signing is paid at 100%.
Yeah.
By the
Okay.
state. If they decide to elect for signing, which they've done for the
Right.
major collectors last year or 2
Right.
years ago,
Yeah.
that's paid at 100% by the state, 0 by the
Okay.
county.
Well, good, then that's probably worth it, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had no more problems.
I don't have any more issues either. Those are the only ones. Alexis, do you have
I have
any?
a question.
Okay.
Dawn, I noticed First Bank Card number 1, email renewal, domain renewal, and domain renewal total for $324.44. Is that a yearly bill?
That is in every 2 years, and one of them is for the email registrations, and one of them is the domain. The domain is for 2 years. and Dawn accidentally clicked the button twice, so we now have our domain for at least 4 years. So I apologize for that. I tried to undo it, but apparently I can't undo it.
Okay, and actually, I was just going to point out, if that is yearly, which you're saying it's bi-yearly, are we paying any other services for our website, or is that it is its entirety?
That is just the Google email address, or it's not Google, sorry, the GoDaddy. It's kind of like Gmail, but it's GoDaddy. It's for the LincolnCOKS.org part. Now,
Okay, but that's not affiliated with Thomson Reuters to run our website.
no. Now, I got that bill, and we pay that once a year, so we kind of look back to see what year and what budget did we pay it out of. So we won't pay that till January, but I want to say that bill is like $1,500. And
That's what I was wondering what the
and that
cost is.
includes the domain for LincolnCOKS.com.
Okay,
So the
gotcha.
website is a little bit different than the emails.
I gotcha. Okay.
I move we approve the accounts payable for 30 December this year in the amount of $430,000. I'm sorry, $430,047.21.
We have a motion to approve the AP invoices, accounts payable invoices for 12/30/19, and I'll second that. Any discussion, Alexis?
Yeah, I had a few more.
Okay.
I noticed 2 autopsies. Are those separate, or was that all for one?
No, it's 2 separate people. And a lot of times they're behind time, so any unattended death we're responsible for. But we may get the bill, like we may get the funeral home bill, sorry Jim, but we may get the funeral home bill for mileage to transport them to a month and a half before we actually get the autopsy bill from the company. And sometimes we'll get more fees. I don't really understand why we get a little bit of variance. I'm assuming it depends on what they do to the person.
It does, and our coroner, unfortunately, is in the district coroner in Washington, Hanover, actually, Washington County. We should have a local coroner. It would help a lot. Dr. Warren, the district coroner, waits generally until he gets the results back from Kansas City. And if you do a toxicology report that's complicated, sometimes it'll take a long time to come back. And it depends on what he orders, whether he orders a full tox or what, and that's why there's a variation in the amount.
Okay.
I know normally it may be 2 months before we actually get the bill.
Yep.
So it's, somebody may say, oh, well, somebody had an unattended death, that might be them, but it's really not. It may be somebody different.
Does the county
Okay,
always,
I noticed the difference, 2 different dollar amounts. I thought maybe it was for the same function, but 2 different.
No.
does the county always we have to pay for that?
If the
Does it-
coroner orders it, yeah.
But what happens if the person who passed away had insurance? You think their insurance would reimburse that?
It's a separate thing.
It is, huh?
Yep, it's a legal thing. It's a law enforcement thing.
Oh, well, okay.
The family can order an autopsy if they want to know, and that's about $2,500. The complicated autopsy was probably our truck accident on the county line, because they had to do a full screen on him because of all of the transportation KDOT and US DOT requirements. I don't remember the other. The other, I think, was Roger Hayworth, was it not? I believe those were the 2 autopsies that we did.
Okay, so I see a company being paid called IAAO, and the payment is for membership dues coming from APPR. What's APPR?
Appraiser.
Oh, appraiser. Okay, I gotcha. Sorry. She doesn't have a lot of bills.
No. And a lot of times it's for, especially at the end of the year, that's how they get some of their appraisal books and things like that. Now, this was probably an actual membership to an organization. So in January, you'll see a lot more of the organizations like North Central Kansas County Clerks, the Kansas County Clerks. You guys will have your own commissioner districts. We'll be asking, so I'm assuming that's what that is for her, since it said membership. Yeah, she doesn't hardly have any bills ever.
Anything else, Alexis?
I don't think so.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the accounts payable for this month, December to December 30th, 2019. Are you ready to vote?
Sure.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. All, and then opposed. And we gotta sign these here. Yeah, I didn't sign both of them. Okay. There you go, Jim. Okay, I guess we'll go to the agenda, which,
Oh, you know what? May I bring something up here because I'm just double
okay,
checking this, and I meant to bring this up. Are these purchases for the general fund for things like this one says towel, toilet paper, and gloves? Is that, and it's from Purozone Incorporated? Is that a Mr. Ellis?
Yes, it's janitorial supplies here.
Okay, I think we had talked to him about trying to buy some of that locally, and so I think we need to readdress that issue. Does the commission have any input on that?
no, I agree, we agreed to try to buy products locally up there.
Within
If they're not too
10%.
much more expensive, obviously, than out of county. 10%, right?
That's what we said, yeah.
Maybe he needs to be,
I will say that we'll have to install different toilet paper and paper towel holders if that's the case, because we used to buy locally and it would walk out the door, and so that's why we put those commercial grade stuff in.
That'd be a reason to keep doing it then.
yeah.
I'm not sure, I mean, we could ask the grocery store to see if they can get commercial, if we
They
tell
can.
them
I
the
know they
diameter.
can because I did it for my store, and I guess it depends on the brand that you want to get. But usually, that company will give you the apparatus to hold the material if you're going to purchase their material. So we could do that.
I'd say that's what we have now, so that's who we had bought the materials or the stuff from, and they provided the dispensers, so.
Okay. Okay. That's. I just thought we had talked about that once before. Maybe we need to mention that again.
And it's where he buys the wax for the floors and things like that too. I don't know, but yeah, some of it is probably stuff we could get here.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, next on the agenda is this road vacation hearing. Do we want to do that, or we do have some tax abatements and then some correspondence?
I
And-
believe we need to, since it's marked for that time of 7:30, I think we need to do
Okay.
it at that time, and then we can go back to our
Sounds
correspondence.
fine. Fine with me, okay, do you have the paperwork for that road
Yes.
vacation hearing,
Can I pass?
Jim?
So on December 16th, you guys did the preliminary. This is now the actual vacation hearing. And
Right.
technically, you should hear comments to anybody.
And I guess maybe we should read it again here. I think it's that road by you, Steve, there.
I received the letter.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll read it again here. The final resolution in order, resolution number 2019 V-02. Now on this 30th day of December 2019, at a duly constituted and regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, Lincoln County, Kansas, all members of said board being present, the matter of the vacation of a certain road comes on for final hearing and order before said board. After due consideration and after being duly advised in the premises, the board finds that on the 16th day of December 2019, the said board did unanimously make a preliminary resolution, 2019 R-02, proposing to vacate a certain township line road located in Grant Township and Vesper Township, as in their judgment, said road is not a public utility by reason of neglect, non-use, or inconvenience, or from other cause or causes. Said road has become practically impassable, and the necessity for said road as a public utility does not justify the expenditure of the necessary funds to repair said road or put the same in condition for public travel. Said road is described as follows. Beginning at the southeast corner of Section 34, Township 11, Range 9, also being the northeast corner of Section 3, Township 12, Range 9, thence west to the southwest corner of Section 34, Township 11, Range 9, also being the northwest corner of Section 3, Township 12, Range 9. Road right-of-way by be 60 foot. This closing does not affect Highway 18 right-of-way. And that said preliminary resolution is herewith adopted and made a part of this order by reference. The board further finds that due and legal notice of said proposed vacation has been given by publication as required by law, and the proof thereof has been duly filed with the county clerk. It is hereby ordered, all members voting in the affirmative, that the above described roads and every part thereof be vacated and is hereby vacated, as above described, and that the county clerk entering the proceedings concerning said vacation upon the records, and that a copy thereof be certified to the Register of Deeds, Lincoln County, Kansas. Then it shows the Board of County Commissioners. That's 3. And now we can discuss this if there's any discussion about it from the public. Or Alexis, do you have anything else to say on this issue?
No, sir.
Mr. Gableman, do you have anything to
No
say on
issue.
this? Steve, that's right by you. You have any issue with this?
I'd like to see it closed 20 years ago, actually.
I think you guys were the ones requesting it.
They
weren't you?
fixed us,
Yeah.
Walkers,
Yeah.
and Dale Kruger. I don't think any of them are opposed to it.
Okay, any other input by anyone? Now what, I guess we need to vote on it again for a final resolution? Okay, well, I'll make a motion then to approve this final resolution in order resolution number 2019 V02-02.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made and second to approve this final resolution, order of resolution number 2019 V02. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried.
If one of you is willing to give up your copy, I do need
Here.
2 originals.
Okay.
We need to sign them,
Signatures.
obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, you can have that copy, Don.
And then one gets filed in the Register of Deeds office and one stays on file in our office.
That's one. There's the 2.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay,
The
well,
next one will be at 7:45
which is,
for the budget hearing.
do we have a few minutes or? Amended budget hearings at 7:45, so we have a few minutes. Alexis, do you want to discuss anything else before that?
Well, I think we need to possibly decide what we want to do with these transfers before we do the budget hearing.
Okay.
Well, you can't, can you?
You won't be able to approve the resolutions. You can discuss, but if you don't want to amend any of the budgets, then the resolutions will be affected by that. Yeah, all the resolutions except for, well, the only resolution that will be affected by that is one of the fire departments and one of the county general funds. And then I didn't do any resolutions for the highway department because I need your guys' direction. Or somebody's direction. Okay, I just sent you the spreadsheet. I replied to one of your emails that you had sent earlier today. I sent you that spreadsheet that has like the budget and the cash broke down for each of the funds.
Okay.
And normally what I do is I take whatever is the lowest dollar amount. So for example, county general, the lowest dollar amount is $213,895, and that's on the budget side. And then I subtract out what our prior year expenses are. and then I kind of determine what I think we could comfortably transfer. So the resolution I gave you is what I feel like we can comfortably transfer, but that doesn't mean that you guys want to transfer that dollar amount. That just means that the amount that I feel like we could do. If you don't transfer the money out, then it basically gets taken over by county general as cash, which then reduces the levy for the next year. But if you transfer it out, then you have it in special, where I would put it in is the capital improvement fund, and then it will hold there, and then you can use that money to do bigger projects that you don't necessarily have the money to do, and you don't want to levy the money to do. But everybody feels differently about saving money, how much to save, how much not to save. So you guys have to decide that.
And do we need to, again, I'm a little confused here, let's do it. Do we need to approve these resolutions then before we can really approve this amended budget, huh?
You'll do the amended budget first.
Okay.
Because some of the amounts in those
Affect this
resolutions
resolution.
are taken
Okay.
into consideration that you're going to amend the budgets.
Okay. Okay. And we don't have highway departments in here yet as part of it. We'll have to determine that sometime here. So really before we can approve the amended budget, would have to have highway department information, correct?
No, you can approve the amended budget. You cannot transfer the highway departments until you do the amended budget.
Okay. But hopefully we'd have a ballpark figure of what they would like to have there before we amend that budget, right?
I've already amended it by $98,000, which
Okay.
is the gross amount that can be amended. So I sent you guys that the little snippet of the spreadsheet. It's really hard to explain, so let me just show you. So
Especially us
when
rookies. Rookies here, they've never done this before.
when I
right?
decide to work on amending the budget, I will put in what the cash carryover is, or the cash balance is, sorry.
Okay.
So this is the cash balance as of, and the day that I did this was December 11th, after we had done the end of month, and I had time to sit down. They had already went through December 11th for daily statements. So this cash balance is that. The budget balance is what was at the end of November. This pending expenses is actually AP and payroll that we just finished. Originally when I did this it was zero. I went ahead and put it in so I would know how much money I could possibly transfer. So we're just looking at the road and bridge fund. So on December 11th, their cash balance was $1,021,314. We have pending expenses for the month of December, including payroll, of $193,940. And that includes the dollar amount that was paid for that big piece of equipment that you bought. Sorry, whatever it was. Okay, so that leaves a cash balance of $827,343. We are required to fund the 2020 budget to carry over at least $193,000. So you guys approved the budget in July. You said we're going to have this $193,000. If we don't carry over that dollar amount, then next year's budget is in trouble. So then I subtract that out and I come up with the total. So originally, if this $98,000 wasn't there, this number would be $500 and some thousand. What I do is take this dollar amount minus this. So on this side, it's the budget balance minus the pending, and I put in a dollar amount to make these numbers close to being equal.
Okay.
And I try to leave it at a even amount of money. If I know that they're having revenue come in, then I adjust for that as well. And so then this number here is what is the prior year expenditures. So last year, we carry over in January, February, and March. If any invoice is dated in 2018, but it was received in 2019, we still take it out. After March, it's current year budget and we just don't care. But the auditors will pull all of those invoices, and they'll also pull any big invoices. And if, let's say you guys approved them to buy a piece of equipment today, and we got the invoice and the piece of equipment in February and everything was dated in February, you have already encumbered that expense in 2019. So you have to take it out of 2019 as long as you have everything by March. And so if I don't do that, the auditors do it for us. And then that's what creates budget violations. So I take these two different dollar amounts, and then I would take the 633,000 minus what past history is normally a good reflection on current history. So we would assume that there's probably $32,000 worth of bills out there that have not been received yet. And so I would subtract that out. That's why I said I felt like $575,000 is a good safe number. It's probably being conservative. You probably could do the 600,000, but I don't know.
I see what you're saying now, yeah, okay.
Because I have no history and I haven't picked
But
up
now
on the
where does
corner
that
things.
570 go? We're gonna move that over to a
That's where you can move into those special equipment.
special equipment fund, budget fund,
You can do special equipment, special county road, which we know that we need to do.
which is for
Whatever
the,
dollar
which
amount
is for
for
the
chip
bigger
sealing.
bridges and projects, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have a couple comments. Number one, we do have some left over because we did not do a large equipment purchase as we had done in years prior when they were turning over the road motor graders. So I think that accounts for some of that, unless I'm mistaken.
You're correct.
We also have a higher, we had a higher income for payment on past due property tax because we are preparing for a tax sale. And we also had a higher income in our ambulance department because we got our billing back on track and we retrieved some missing money from the year before.
Correct.
So could you just give us a comparison? Do you happen to know, Dawn, what the carryover was from last year? You didn't have that on here, did you?
No. So, like what the cash carryover is, or would you like to know what the transfers were?
Well, I don't believe, I think we transferred everything we possibly could last year. So what was that
Correct.
transfer amount, please?
It was 180,000, 90,000 to special equipment, 90,000 to special county road.
Okay, so what I'm trying to point out here, especially for the onlookers, right now we're looking at a $600,000 number instead of a $200,000 number. And I'm trying to explain that difference in the amount is due to some extraordinary income that we were able to collect from past due bills, better equipping ourselves with the ambulance billing, and then not making some large purchases that we had been making in the highway department.
Okay,
We
let me correct you just 1 second.
go ahead.
This 633,000 is just in the road and bridge fund.
Why am I looking at? Oh, you do have road and bridge on there.
Yeah.
So then, what's the tip?
Chip seal.
So
We didn't do a lot of that chip seal,
you didn't
Alexis.
do the chip seal,
That saved us a lot of
and you
money.
didn't buy the equipment.
Yeah.
No, but what are we talking about then for the total transfer?
Well, I don't know that because you do each of those individually. Each department has their own sets of statutes, so we don't do.
Okay, so what I'm looking at then is just road and bridge, and when you gave me the 80,000, that was just for last year.
Yes,
Or just road and bridge.
just road and bridge. Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, so one at a time here. Okay, I
Yes.
apologize. I thought we were using a total number. When I looked down, you do have it
Yes.
notated as road and bridge. Okay, so then for that department, it's just because we didn't do the large purchase. But you're also saying we should have some income coming into that department as well because they haven't been billing the sheriff's department for fuel.
They haven't billed any of the departments that use for fuel since September. So October, November, and December.
Really, prior year expenses could potentially be almost covered.
But then, well, I don't know because that's the hard thing. I don't know what their fuel expense is costing. And I tried to look that up this evening, and we pay the highway department too many invoices. So each one is an invoice that I would have to manually add, go in and physically look at. So,
Okay, so just based on history, a $32,000 prior year expense is pretty nominal considering we still have missing income for that department.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't feel comfortable telling you. I feel like we can transfer $600,000 and then have them come in with $50,000 worth of bills that they've purchased things. they think, oh, I might be able to get that in a 2020 expense, but our auditors and me say, no, I'm sorry, but that date on there says that you ordered it in 2019. It has to go back to 2019's budget.
Mhm.
And the auditor looks at different things. We never really know what they look at, but I can tell you they look at anything that comes in the end of year. They review every single end of year invoice and look at date-wise, did we put it in the right year? Are we trying to finagle? And they look at any big purchases. So if you had anything that's $10,000 or more, they're looking at those invoices to see what is on them and when their dates are. And
Okay, so then the question is for Mr. Mackay. Do we have some outstanding invoices from this fall?
We've got $9,000 potentially for that mower tractor that's being repaired. That $9,000 was the most it would be. They're saying those parts off North Carolina to see if they can be remanned to reinstalled for lower cost. John Deere is $2,100 to order new harnesses for the excavator, the old excavator. That way we can do diagnostic troubleshoots on it. And that's coming in. That's currently going on now. So there's a little over $11,000. The other costs for what we've ordered but have not received invoices for, that's actually in 2019. The tires have already been ordered. Those were on last month. So was the piping that we ordered for J&J Drainage. That was already in those invoices. So I know there's at least 11,000 that's not accounted for on these, plus 636 to get the laser level like we talked about that Monday.
Well, then I think we're looking at an opportunity to alleviate a little bit of the levy for next year with this dollar amount. I mean, if we're not making a $500,000 purchase in equipment, which we've already purchased the excavator this year that we had talked about.
Yep, we purchased one excavator and a used dump truck
And a tractor.
and a tractor and one small mower. The graders, we've got some that I felt we could get them by another year. I'm going to have big expenses with some of my other equipment. I've got dump trailers from 1987 that have been re-welded together so many times. They're shot. You mean, dump trailer with the heavy use that we would use, 15, 20 years is about expected life expectancy. And two of my dump trailers are 1987 and 1990.
Well, it looks like Dawn's figures of 575 are very much in the ballpark, in my opinion.
Yep, I feel that would be appropriate.
Yeah, me too.
no, it's just a matter of, where you want to go. So with that note, I've already convened that you have the budget hearing. I'm going to run upstairs and grab my budget book that has the statute numbers for those mass transfer, just to make sure that we're okay. But you guys can go ahead and take public comment regarding the budget hearing. So you have copies. I do have
That's
a couple of copies for anybody that needs or wants to look at.
this is it here.
Yeah. And I will be right back.
Anybody want to read the budget? Mr. Vice Acting Chairman, this might be time for a 2-minute secret meeting somewhere.
You want to take a recess?
I think so.
We'll take a 5-minute recess, please. Alexis?
Sure.
Randy, I'll look at one of those.
Okay. Yeah, right here. Anybody else can too. It's amended, but we're not amending it much. You heard what Don was saying. It's based on what we haven't used and what we carry over from, like we have more in the highway department this year because we had fewer employees, and also we have bought less equipment, so we have extra money more than we budgeted And so that's one issue, and some other departments too. It isn't that much difference, really.
Well, the biggest difference under ambulance fees, this year we said that we would budget $75,000 in income, and it looks like we can be closer to $138,581.
Yeah.
So that's nearly double.
Well, and some of it is cash carryover, so the cash from last year ended up being higher than expected. That's that very top line. If you want to look, it will show you what,
That it covers cash balance.
yeah.
John, what is miscellaneous under the change for the Sylvan Grove Rural Fire Department? What's the $4,000 under miscellaneous mean?
They received a grant, or I shouldn't say grant, but money from the Post Rock Wind Farm. And I think they also received money from Smoky Hills to help buy equipment. So
Okay.
what we were going to do is put in their special equipment so that way when they get enough money to buy something, they can buy something with it.
Okay.
And so a lot of times we'll do that. Sometimes with fire
You wanna review
departments,
it, too?
they sell equipment. So if they sold
Oh, you got
a
one,
used
okay.
truck, the only way they can get the money back into their special equipment is to run it through their regular operating fund, amend their budget, and transfer.
Okay, there's another miscellaneous for $4,000 under ambulance.
I think they also received a grant from Post Rock Wind Farm as well. So basically, they showed up one day with a check and said they were making a donation. They wanted to make a donation to the Lincoln County Fire Department, and I asked them specifically, what fire department do you want? Because we have 5 of them. And they decided that they wanted to donate it to the fire department and the ambulance service that serviced where their towers are at, which would be the Sylvan Grove Fire, Rural Fire, and the Lincoln County Ambulance. So, which was very nice.
Yes. Why are the neighborhood revitalization numbers negative? I'm not sure what that means.
So anybody that participates in the neighborhood revitalization program gets their taxes rebated out back to them. So let's say, for example,
Okay.
I do something, they don't get 100% of their taxes, they just get a percentage of their new improvement that they did.
And then you just calculate it based on the mill for each department is what the reduction is.
Yes. So
Okay.
what happens in Comtech is it gets entered in as a negative tax disbursement, and so it gets added to when Leanne does her tax disbursement. But there's no way to show that on the budget, so they put it in as a negative like that.
Okay. And then miscellaneous under road and bridge.
That might be equipment sale. It might be that they sold motor blades, whatever you call them.
You use greater blades or
Yeah, it's just miscellaneous income. Normally, if they sell equipment, I put that it's equipment sale, and it may just be something that we deemed miscellaneous income when we were receiving the money in.
it was probably the grader that was sold as still the majority of it.
Okay, so for the public, basically road and bridge, ambulance, Sylvan Grove Rural Fire Department. Those are the 3 main changes. None of the other county departments have changed, I believe.
No, all of the county general changed by 100,000, didn't it? And
But you just put that under a total to capital improvement. It's not that we added any numbers to any individual department, correct?
correct.
Okay.
And again, you guys can choose to do that or choose not to do that. And you can still amend the budget if you want to. It gives us the budget authority, but you can choose not to do the transfer if you don't want to.
interest on idle funds so much higher than what we assumed?
I think the interest rate is better this past year than it was prior years.
So we just were basing it off year prior.
Correct. And I think they do that to be conservative a little bit with when we do the budget, because we don't really
Yeah, but
always
it's
know.
more than tripled. That's big. Well, I will say this. I have no problem justifying doing the transfer to the capital improvement fund because about 30,000 of that comes from delinquent taxes being collected. And if we put that 100,000 into the capital improvement fund, I believe we can use that to do the courthouse repairs. Am I correct?
Correct.
So that means if the courthouse repairs cost a total of 100,000, we will have it in there, and almost 50% of that is coming from delinquent tax collection.
Correct.
Now that's just the appropriation from the delinquent taxes in the general fund. What are we doing with the delinquent tax increase to the road and bridge? Is that just being transferred into the? Is that what you're saying is transferred into the special county road?
Well, that's what's helping fuel the need to amend their budget by $98,000. That's giving you $98,000 more to be able to transfer. Now, I don't think just their delinquent tax collection just wasn't $98,000, but
No, it was. We assumed 5,000. It actually ended up being 33,000. Their appropriation.
okay.
So. Why is it that no delinquent tax collection is forwarded to any of the fire department districts? Is that just because it's its own separate taxing entity?
It is, but a lot of times those smaller districts, their delinquency isn't as large as countywide. So because it's only a smaller area, so I probably just didn't break it out or split it out. I probably grouped everything together. But I could tell you what their delinquent tax is. But a lot of the smaller entities, their delinquent tax is a lot less than what the county's is, just because their area is so much smaller, if that makes sense, and their valuations are smaller. And it could be that they're in an area that they paid their taxes and another area that did not. The delinquent tax is distributed just like the tax collection. So when it comes in, it goes to all of the entities in which that taxing unit is made up of. It's just considered delinquent, and so it gets dispersed at different times than what the current tax is. But that's all something that Leanne does. So if, let's say you were delinquent on your taxes being in Sylvan Grove, when you did come in to pay for it, then the entities that make up your taxing unit would get that money as a delinquent tax disbursement. But if you were not delinquent and somebody in the Beverly Fire District or in the city of Beverly was delinquent and they come in and pay their taxes, then the city of Beverly's taxing unit gets the money. So it's based upon the taxing unit that the person is delinquent in. So some areas there is no delinquency, other areas there is massive delinquency.
Well, I would like to suggest that we do an amendment on the road and bridge budget, because basically what we're looking at is we had suggested that we would have a $228,694 cash balance carryover. Now we're looking at $405,787 cash carryover. So that in and of itself allows us to have a little bit of capital to make some purchases. It looks to me like the $98,000 transfer is coming from the delinquent tax increase and the miscellaneous, which would be sale of equipment. Correct?
I believe that's correct. I believe it's cash carryover delinquency. I don't have one, sorry.
Here.
And I don't multitask well anymore. and you said highway department, right?
We are also, yes, I'm looking at the highway department specifically on this amended
So
budget.
in the road and
specifically, we also have budgeted for next year $392,500 for capital outlay.
correct. So if you start on line 1 where it says unencumbered cash balance, the 2019 adopted budget says they would carry over $228,694. But in the 2019 proposed budget, which is what we're amending, they actually carried over $405,787. So to be able to spend that difference or to be able to transfer it out, you have to amend the budget. So that's why I said most of these funds is just in their cash carryover alone. So part of that is derived from the fact that maybe I budgeted $50,000 in prior year expense, but they really only had $32,000 in prior year expense. So it creates a extra cash. So then the ad valorem tax I just left alone. Delinquent tax was obvious that they received more money. I left motor vehicle tax alone. Recreational alone, 1620M alone. Commercial, watercraft, those are all those levy taxes that all based upon the distribution. I can tell you that they're not 100% collected on any of those, but I didn't know where Leanne was at with the distribution, so we always just say they're the same. Special city county highway, the same. Reimbursements I left as the same. That's that $60,000 that I said. Even if it says $4390, $60,000 is what you have to be able to fund your budget. So anything that is not in that line item that you guys, when you get your budget, that's the 1119 4390 that has the reimbursements coming in as fuel. The auditor is going to decrease that by $60,000, and we'll only be able to respend whatever's over that. So reimbursement that is a true reimbursement allows you to be able to expend the money. So let's say, for example, if Brendan bought a culvert for a farmer to put in, and that farmer reimbursed us part of the cost. If that was all done in the same year, he could put that as a reimbursement and respend that money to buy a different farmer a different culvert. That's just something that you can do. So like when you're doing gravel purchases, if you haul in extra material and you end up having extra material left and you want to sell that to somebody, that would be a true reimbursement as long as it happens in the same year. So we count fuel as a true reimbursement because they're expending it and purchasing it, and the departments are using it, and they're repaying the highway department, so that would all be a reimbursement. But the auditor requires this fund to have at least $60,000 in reimbursements. So if there was one year that we were in budget violation because we didn't meet that $60,000, and the highway department had respent the money. So that was my bad. I got an education lesson that time. In lieu of tax, that is basically the Wilson Lake Corps of Engineers. They're the only ones that pay us in lieu of tax. And of course, neighborhood revitalization, and then the miscellaneous, and it's $69,000. So yes, I do believe that is probably the sale of the equipment to Purple Wave and also the grader. So that would be anything that was sold during the year. I basically kind of just, because these forms are only limited and the auditor is only limited, so I try to accumulate what I think that they're adding together. So that's where his money came from, is between cash carryover, delinquent, and the miscellaneous. Rough education lesson, sorry.
Yeah. So what's the time thing on, do we need to do this? We have to approve something because it's this year, 2019?
Yes.
Tonight we have to approve an amended budget
Correct.
or not approve it.
If you don't amend the budget, then some of those resolutions come off the table.
Alexis, you got any input on this or any suggestion?
Well, I guess I just don't want to see us amend this to the higher amount, knowing where we're getting the money from, which was prior collections and some other things that, that actually makes more money available to spend, which is what we're trying to do with this amended budget because we have it. But I don't want to see that turn into a budget request for next year that is equal to the dollar amount that we're looking at now. You know, if this can be viewed as a one-time increase because of the situation that we're in, then I don't see a reason that we shouldn't capitalize on using the money and basically making some of those purchases that we won't need to tax for next year in order to be made. However, I don't want to see a budget come back across to the commission that says, well, we spent X last year, so we need to have exactly this much again next year, because it's really not based on actual need. It's based on recuperating some of the money and maybe banking that or saving that over for the year so that it can be spent on what I would like to call one-time purchases.
And like in the highway department, we didn't buy them as much equipment as had earlier been planned, and also the chip seal was only partially a patch job, so we did not. We need really that money for this next year probably to do the chip seal totally, right? And maybe
Right,
and maybe some more purchases on machinery.
When we do this amended budget, it actually comes across the table as we're putting more money into the budget. But
Right.
I'm trying to explain that it's really, we've collected more money. That's where it's coming from. So to request that the taxpayers then fund that same dollar amount next year would be totally inappropriate, in my opinion.
Right. What we got here is just a carryover of this year money we're going to put into
Yes.
next year. Yeah, a carryover of what we right.
That, it looks like that was the amount that was budgeted, and then you could potentially justify taxing for that same amount in the future. Do you follow me?
Yeah, raising taxes because we're going to have this much extra left over from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This extra money's gonna be earmarked for usually one-time purchases and
Yeah.
stuff. It'll be gone this year.
Right.
That's my opinion.
I agree too on that. Well,
Do we have public comment?
what was that, Alexis?
Have we had public comment? I haven't seen any.
Yeah, what's the public think? Anyone out there got an opinion on this? Bottom line is we have, well, you heard here, I guess. I'm trying to figure it out myself. We haven't spent as much as we budgeted, especially in the highway department. And but we did put out chip seal because we got in a situation, we just didn't get to it done in time over by Sylvan there, so we did a chip seal patch, which was a lot cheaper. That saved us quite a bit of money that we would have probably spent on a normal year. And also some of the equipment we didn't
they
buy.
forgot buying equipment earlier.
Right, we held off on a
That
lot of
would've been
equipment.
replaced.
Well, we knew, you guys know the situation we had with some of our highway department people leaving, and then we didn't have any management for several months, so a lot of that was all put on hold, and that's why we're in this position, really. But I think what Dawn has put here, this amended certificate, I think I would, be for it myself here. I think she's done some good judgment on deciding what we need here with these resolutions on these departments as we've talked them here. That's my opinion anyway. Do you have any input, Alexis or Jim?
Well, I talked about this to Don, and I'm perfectly satisfied that this is the best, based on the best data we have. And I think we ought to go with it.
Alexis, anything?
I just want to reiterate here, we're looking at the general fund line item, the road and bridge line item, the ambulance line item, and the Sylvan Grove line item. So when this budget is now published, it's going to look like we have proposed expenditures for $2.7 million in our general fund, $2.54 million in our road and bridge, $443,000 for ambulance. When in all actuality, the expenditures that we projected to financially spend in one given year were several $100,000 less in those first two line items I gave you, and about $4,000 less than the other one. So I'm just reiterating the point that because we are adopting this budget with the higher numbers does not mean we're actually taxing for that amount. We're only levying the amount that we proposed in the original budget. So therefore, next year, we don't need to start with the numbers that we have on the table this year because we've recuperated extra revenue. Does everyone follow that? I just don't want that to be lost in next year's budget discussion.
And I was just for the public here, they don't all have a handout. What we're doing is we're our adopted budget for this year was $5,510,707, and on our proposed amended budget, because of this carryover, would be $5,719,207, which is $209,000 more than our adopted budget. That's what we're at here. But again, it ain't raising taxes, it's carrying over money we haven't spent. As long as we realize that and don't think we have to.
It's not raising taxes, but it's also not going to be an income that is recapturable in the future, per se.
Right.
Just the clarification there is what I'm worried about.
Right. So, you ready to make a motion to approve this, or I'll ask for one?
Sure.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve this amended certificate for calendar year 2019 that we have in front of us here, and the totals.
I'd read the summary thing and then
Yeah, I'll just do the summary of, we got 6 amendments here. Well, we haven't done the amendments yet. We're just doing make a motion to approve this amended budget, and from an adopted budget of $5,510,707 to a proposed amended budget of $5,719,207.
I shall second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend this budget to the amounts I stated. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. None opposed.
You need all this signed.
Just one copy, please, and
Doesn't matter.
I
don't know.
will add in parentheses the budget specifically that you amended.
Right.
Okay.
Where do we sign here when it says it's tested?
Where all those lines are
Governing
out.
body.
Assisted
on the
over
right-hand side.
here? Okay.
Yeah.
Your pen doesn't work, yeah?
Well, I'm
It's
going
the
through
one
the
he
basket
stole.
here.
You got those cheap pens,
Well, they're from, that ain't gonna work at all.
those funeral pens.
No, these are K-Camp pens.
Oh, yeah.
That's worse.
And now I guess we want to discuss
More enough?
these resolutions. Alexis, are you there?
I'm here.
Do you have a copy of these resolutions?
I do.
Don has provided us with 4 resolutions. Again, I don't know if I guess I'll read them out here. There are 4 resolutions to this amended budget. One's called Resolution 2019-16. It says, be it resolved this 30th day of December 2019 by the Board of County Commissioners of Lincoln County, Kansas, in accordance with the 2019 Lincoln County adopted budget, to hereby authorize a transfer of $10,000 December 30th, 2019 from the Lincoln County General Fund, which is 10-1-4372, into the Lincoln County Transportation Bus Fund, adopted by the Board of County Commissioners of Lincoln County, Kansas, this 30th day of December 2019. Now this is,
Yeah, I'd like.
Okay.
We ought to do each one separately. I
Yeah.
think.
well,
And this is fairly straightforward, so I move we approve Resolution 2019-16, moving funds into the Transportation Fund.
okay, for the public's interest, Don, you stated earlier that this is for, the bus fund was needing this transferred funds.
This would be the second half, so we allot $20,000 a year. We do the first half, and then we don't do the second half until they need it.
Right, which is now,
I second the motion.
okay, we got a motion and a second to adopt the resolution 2001-19-16. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried.
And you have the originals.
Okay.
Sorry, I found my copies, but you can hear the copies.
Next, we'll have another resolution here, Resolution 2019-17, transfer of funds Be it resolved this 30th day of December 2019 pursuant to KSA 19-3612 number C, or letter C, to transfer funds from the general operating fund of each rural fire district into the special equipment fund of that district in the following amounts. Beverly Rural Fire operating to Beverly Rural Fire Special Equipment, $16,000. First Rural Fire operating to First Rural Fire Special Equipment, $44,000. Hunter Rural Fire operating to Hunter Rural Fire Special Equipment, $18,500. Sylvan Grove Rural Fire operating to Sylvan Grove Rural Fire Special Equipment, $15,000. And then it'd be signed by us. Now, you guys have any discussion on this, Alexis or Jim?
Well, first I'll make the motion
I would like to know, John, do you have immediate access to their current balances? Because I'm still, after all this time, I'm still a little confused. I know they're their own taxing entities, but if we're approving things like these transfer funds, I guess I'd like to know what their total available is to them.
I'm not sure that you necessarily have to, but because we include them to help save money in our budget, we have to report it in the budget, so therefore it needs to be transferred by resolution, even though there's state statute that allows it. But I can tell you what the balances are.
If they are independently operating, then basically all their income is based on valuation. So anytime valuation goes up, their income goes up. They don't, I mean, I guess unless their boards are specifically budgeting to request less than the valuation for their mill rate, they're always going to get an increased amount, correct?
Most of the time, their fire boards request the same dollar amount. So if you notice that Barnard Rural Fire isn't on that resolution, they didn't have enough money to transfer. Somebody really needs to talk to their board and say, maybe you guys need to consider increasing your budget so that you have money to transfer. Because what they're doing is they're building their accounts so that they can buy a new fire truck. So they can buy a new hose, buy new equipment, the air packs, everything is expensive.
First Rural Fire, I don't know how many trucks they have, but a $44,000 transfer, I'm just wondering, what's in the bank for them if they're transferring $44,000 out of 1 year's tax levy.
If you hang on 1 second, I will tell you, and I can tell you with First Rural Fire, they tend to respond to every fire. We just were lucky this past year that we didn't have as many fires as what they've had in years past.
Yeah, it's not a criticism. I'm appreciative of everyone. I know they're volunteering.
I will say this.
I'm wondering about how that works with the mill levy, since we're not really setting their budget.
Right.
Correct? I mean, when they turn in their numbers, they're getting their own taxes according to the mill rate and the valuation of their district.
Correct. Okay, Barnard Rural Fire Special Equipment has $83,781, so that's probably why they are just staying where they're at. Beverly Rural Fire, and they have a new fire station, so they're probably set. Beverly Rural Fire has $28,518.54, and they do have a truck that is being lease purchased right now. First Rural Fire has $84,777, and they do have a truck that is being lease purchased. So I really thought about calling and talking to them about maybe us just going ahead and paying off that lease purchase and saving the interest. Hunter Rural Fire has $33,352.58. Denmark has a new station. I don't know what the Hunter station is like. Sylvan Rural Fire has $40,561, and they do have a new station now. So most of their funds are going to be used to buy new equipment, upgrade their equipment. And we've seen smaller balances.
How do they, if they would want to raise taxes, does the people in the fire department request tax
The
levy
governing
rate?
board, I send them a letter out in June and tell them it's about time to start thinking about their budget. What would they like to do? This is the dollar amount that they levied the previous year. And then whatever I get back, they normally meet and then they send back. Sometimes they'll increase it, sometimes they'll leave it alone.
Then that has to be
There
approved.
used to be a 5 mil max where they couldn't, but when the tax lid went off, that went away. Now the tax lid is back on. However, emergency services are still exempted. So a couple of the fire departments chose to increase, which was First Row Fire and Hunter. I think Beverly increased 2 years ago because they had gotten down to where they didn't have hardly any money.
Does that have to be approved by the voters?
No.
They just say we wanna, they could just raise, kinda like school board, they could just raise.
Yes. But
Yes.
they normally do it. I don't think they do it egregious.
Oh, no, I'm not thinking they do, I just didn't know the policy, how they
I don't
did it.
think the discussion is a criticism of the board as much as it is an understanding of how the funds are acquired, because basically when you choose to be on that fire board, then you're responsible for that dollar amount, and really the commission has no authority over that. I just wanted to be clear.
Mhm.
So really, I'm surprised that the commissioners, like, we have authority now to even do a transfer, because it's really, they're doing the tax, just like we don't have this to do with a library or something.
The
you know.
auditors make you guys do that because they're included in our budget. Now,
Oh.
if we want to make them pay for their own budget advertisement,
Oh, yeah.
which is, and do their own separate,
I
I mean,
see,
I'm
okay.
sure they would be fine. But a long time ago, prior to me, we chose to consolidate all the budgets and take care of the cemeteries to try to help them save money.
Sure,
So that all of their money wasn't just going to publications.
okay. I understand now. That's common sense there. Because we really don't have no authority over none of this stuff, so it's, in a way, us approving this is, we don't have no power to say yes or no, really, do we?
Well, it is definitely the best way to centralize the expense, because if Lincoln County is taking care of the expense for all the rural districts, then they're not individually paying out for separate bills on everything that they do for their budget.
Yeah. Well, you have any other issues with this, Alexis? This fire, resolution?
No.
So Jim, does your motion still stand to
Yes,
approve
it does.
that?
Approve 2019-17.
I'll second. This motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 2019-17. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried, none opposed. And we'll sign this.
The last two we're probably gonna need some education on.
Yeah, we got a next resolution. Resolution 2019-18, transfer of funds. Be it resolved this 30th day of December 2019 by the Board of Commissioners, Lincoln County, Kansas, pursuant to the provisions of KSA 19-120 in accordance with the 2019 Lincoln County adopted budget to hereby authorize transfer of $175,000 from the Lincoln County General Fund into the Lincoln County Capital Improvement Fund. Adopted by Lincoln County Board of Commissioners the 30th day of December 19th, if we approve it. Yeah, can you explain now again what this is for, Don?
So, basically, the only place that you can go with your carryover funds is leave them in county general and let it decrease the tax levy to the following year, or transfer it out for specific items in which you guys approve and you have a capital improvement plan. And so that is all of the funds combined together. So 10-1, which is county general, to 10-16, which is the nursing home, is all smushed together, and whatever the ending line item is, I kind of add everything together, and this is the dollar amount that I feel comfortable with being able to transfer into the capital improvement fund to be used for things like the walking bottom trailer at the landfill, the backhoe at the landfill, new transportation buses. It has computer equipment for the courthouse and office equipment for the courthouse. It has special or building maintenance. Basically, any fund that contributes to it is what you guys propose. In the past, you've taken an ambulance out of there, even though they don't contribute to it. I want to say they took something. I believe we put some nursing home money in it the 1 year, leftover nursing home money.
I think we put the amount that we withheld for past due rent, I think we transferred that out at the end of the year.
So there's different things, and you guys approve that. I don't normally bring that down every year unless there's something that is not on the plan that you guys decide you want to pay for.
It's just a transfer of money to get to another.
It's just a,
Yeah.
some people call it a slush fund. I call it our contingency fund. If we really had something happen, we would have the money to pay for it.
Yeah.
But the 175 is a well thought out, reasonable amount to transfer.
I feel like it's a safe amount. You can do less if you want to be able to reduce the tax levy for next year.
Could you give us the current balance of the fund?
As of today,
Yeah,
If
The
you
current-
have that, please.
the current balance as of, in the last activity, so that was 12/19 is the last day that the daily statement was done, is $536,367.21. And we had $146,072 worth of expenditures. We are required to carry over $161,118 to fund the 2020 budget. So it leaves a difference of $213,000. So I always tell you the lesser amount. So on the budget side, there's $213,895.64 remaining in budget for all of the funds combined.
okay.
So the 175 sounds good to me.
And last year, prior year expense, we paid $31,404.59.
So what were this year expenses out of there for $140,000?
The $146,000 is this month's payroll and accounts payable expenditures. Is that what you're looking at?
No, when I said about the balance of the fund, you said 500,000, and then you said our expenditures from last year, or maybe you said this year were 146,000. I thought you meant out
Sorry.
of capital improvement. What did we spend out of capital improvement for 19?
Capital improvement for 19. I apologize. I meant that 146,000 is December's payroll and expenses.
Out of our cash balance.
Yes. Capital improvement fund, we went from a beginning balance of 727,000 to an ending balance of 715. And I believe we spent $10,485. That might have been that nursing home.
Oh, yeah, for the door, the
Right.
doors
I would
probably.
like to propose to the board that we take this opportunity to give this tax break back to the citizens this year. We obviously have over $500,000 in the bank for projects and purchases that we may or may not need to do. We're talking about improving our budget standing for next year without levying for that additional money because we've actually not had the amount of expenses in 19 as what we had budgeted. So I think this is our perfect opportunity to let that money roll over and reduce the needed required amount we need for next year.
Well, we have to do 161, didn't you say? We budgeted for the,
Well, you,
161 for 2020, didn't you say?
yes, that's what the required carryover is. So what she's saying is make that required carryover less. So then what happens to
Oh.
that is that number grows. So when you calculate your budgets, the needed tax dollars to the needed ad valorem tax to be levied is less, is what she's saying. So it's basically reducing the tax levy to next year.
But then it's gonna have to go up the following year.
In my
probably.
personal opinion, this is the best way to do it right now because we're sitting fairly comfortable in most of the departments with what we've done with our capital outlays and our transfers, and as we explained earlier, generating some additional revenue from gathering some that was owed past due. And this actually doesn't affect the budget authority as the amended budget would.
So are you recommending zero then instead of 175,000, Alexis?
Correct.
Then we'd still have what?
We still have $715,000.
Oh, if we added this 175, it'd make it up that much more.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any big expenses coming? If we do this, we were planning to redo the courthouse something, but that was partially grant money, wasn't it?
Well,
But we don't know how much that would be.
we don't know what the cost is.
Yeah,
But if we plan it right, you could phase it into phases where you could take advantage of applying for grant funds throughout the year. Rather than doing one massive big project, you could do where you can take advantage of the state historical grant funds in smaller portions. So they're only going to give you X amount of dollars to begin with.
right.
So you can choose to do
I think it was 80% up to 90,000.
So we could do the front steps maybe 1 year, and the back steps another grant cycle. You can also do those tax credits. I don't want to volunteer to do them, but they say that a lot of places are very successful and it doesn't take a lot to sell them. But there's different avenues as far as that goes. But we do need to do something for the courthouse. Just, it may be broke out in phases.
Right, okay.
Does our courthouse security upgrading systems come out of this? Cameras, computers?
It can. The computers can, and they did that a long time ago when we had the AS400 because that's such a costly expense. But now we're on the cloud system. But the computers were included a very long time ago, especially when we did the rewiring. I do believe we need to do rewiring and make our wiring look
But how about,
nice.
when we were discussing, you guys were still discussing your computer systems in the courthouse here. Would that be now in this budget too?
No, that would be out of our regular
Your
operating.
regular operating budget?
But to purchase the upgraded security system, that could be something that was.
Yeah, cameras and stuff. Well, I'm just thinking if we have any major expenses we know of coming up this year.
I can't think of any besides.
The courthouse thing, and that may be in phases, like you said. What do you think, Jim, on this?
Well, I like to give money back, but I don't want to get us in the hole. But if we got $711,000, that ought to get us through the year, unless we have something catastrophic, and then we're going to have to do some catastrophic financing for that. So
Yeah,
I can go along with that.
so make it zero?
Yeah.
So
that-
you won't just,
So
you'll
we just
disregard
don't
it.
do the transfer.
We just won't do the transfer.
Correct.
Okay, do we want to make a motion, say, to disapprove resolution
We
20?
just ignore it, right?
No.
Just
Yeah.
ignore it?
Yeah.
Is that what you want, Alexis, too?
That is what I would like to see happen. Thank you.
That's
for
fine with me, too.
consideration.
I agree with that, too, since we have so much in that fund, in the improvement fund. Okay, we will ignore them. Resolution 2019-18 was not approved. Even we didn't vote on it, we just ignored it.
No, and
You need that back?
if we do a different resolution, we'll probably rename it that number. And
Okay. All right, we have one more resolution here, 2019-19, transfer of funds. Be resolved this 13th day of December 2019 pursuant to KSA 65-204 to transfer $18,000 from the Lincoln County Health Fund 2019 budgeted funds into the Lincoln County Health Capital Outlay Fund.
No, we did not receive any information from the head of that department.
Right, that's
So
right.
this is a blind guess. Well, there's some experience on Don's part, but I'm concerned that the department head didn't attempt to cooperate on the budget when that's their major effort for the year. I don't know what to do about this. Will you just pick 18,000, or you just grab a number out of the air, or what?
Is that, where did you come with that number?
So I would like to say a few things to this. I have the same concern that we didn't get a response just to know exactly what we're dealing with. I will say on Mrs. Reinert's behalf, she has been very prudent with her budgets and explaining them. I do know that she has a little bit of a capital outlay that already exists, and she had indicated to me that that was how she was going to pay the difference in the increase for the cost. I believe it was related to the consultant fees that were going up because they had to get a new consultant for their medical director, and there was another increase in cost. Oh, the contract, I think now for Next Tech is increasing and almost tripling, so she intended to pay some of those increased costs out of what she had been transferring into this capital outlay fund. But that also brings me to question why there is the ability to transfer this much every year.
last year we transferred $10,000. The spreadsheet that I emailed to you and kind of the one that I showed you has a cash balance after her required carryover of $19,000 and a budget balance of $32,000. So of course you can't transfer if you don't have the cash to do so. So I'm not quite sure why her cash and her budget aren't matching a little bit more. But
Okay, so does that indicate? So she almost $8,000 difference, right? Is that what I'm seeing?
19 to 32. I'm not
like
really sure.
7,500.
The 32,067 is what her budget is remaining. 19,867 is what we have for cash, which is the difference of
Okay.
$12,200. So for some reason, either we haven't collected or the taxes haven't been collected, or something has happened that has that. Normally that's closer, or the opposite. Normally you have more cash than you have budget, but we can still transfer up to, I think, 18,000. Last year she had prior year expenses of $1,406. And she has reimbursements that will go back into her fund tomorrow of $760.55. And
But how are we deriving at this $18,000 transfer number?
because she has $19,867 in excess of cash that she's required to carry over.
That was budgeted.
Yes, there was $32,000 that was budgeted. So technically, she should have $32,000 worth of cash somewhere, but she doesn't have. So that tells me either her patient fees were overestimated, or there was a grant that
her
was.
expenses were increased this year because she already had to start paying those increased numbers for the contract for the medical provider. I think, yeah, maybe it's the difference between not as much income and more expenditures.
Well, what do we want to do about this resolution? We can't, we need to do it tonight.
Do you want to know how much money she has in her capital outlay?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, she has $71,073 in her capital outlay.
Oh, well, that's more than enough to cover those increased expenditures I was talking about. We're talking about maybe $1,000 more a month to pay for the medical consultant that tripled and the Next Tech billing that for the
New computer
the
and stuff.
IT service, right? So she has more than enough in there. Maybe we should just leave it alone. It doesn't affect her budget for next year.
No, it will just do like it's going to do in county general and reduce the amount of money that she is required to levy to fund
I
her budget.
suggest we just do the same thing we just did with the general fund and let those roll over in a cash situation so that we're not levying against it for next year's taxes.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think so too. If she has enough capital outlay to pay for the new computers or the network.
And I didn't prepare resolutions for the highway department because I didn't really know what to prepare. So if you guys tell me what you're thinking, I will get them
Well, maybe we can have a discussion here.
down.
Now, we're done now with the resolutions. Brennan's here with Texas.
Yes.
Okay, you guys come on up.
I
Sorry.
would like to suggest though, while we're on this topic, can we just go ahead and discuss what the transfer would be for this department and get that out of the way? And
Yeah, sounds good.
Can we let Tanner
unless
do his
Mr.
little?
Yost needs to leave.
Yeah, can we let him do his little part first?
Well,
That way he doesn't have to.
well, Tanner's here. Can we let him go first? I think then he could go home probably.
Sure.
He just has to talk about the tuck point project.
Okay.
All right, so I was going to talk about the Tuck Point project. Last month we talked about wrapping some of these bid docs up and begin advertising them. We have the request for bids completed, and so Brendan's going to take it to the newspaper tomorrow, and we're going to start advertising for that project. It's to do the Tuck Point on those 4 projects by Denmark. So we're going to begin advertising open bids on January 27th at 2 p.m. So I plan on just making that a day that I'm here, and then I'll open the bids at 2 o'clock, read them aloud, and then we can review those, and so on and so forth. So I just want to give you an update on that. Yeah, so it's moving forward. So.
You know, I forgot, we've talked about this before, but I forgot to do it now. Are we getting grant money for that or is
No, this is
that's
all
just
going to be county funds.
county funds?
Yep.
There, right.
Yep. So we're getting grant money for the off-system 112.
And that one out here
Yep,
by
yep.
the Rocky Hill Road.
Yep, that's correct. And we're going to start the survey work tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So there'll probably be surveyors out there looking at that if anyone asks.
In this wonderful weather. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not too slick through there.
We're any farther along on that Kiowa Bridge? Is that 65, isn't it?
Yes. So like I talked about previously, about 2 or 3 meetings back, they have done the study on it. The
Yep.
truss is rated at 27, 43,
Yeah,
43.
I remember that from last week. That's where we're standing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the structure out west is Sylvan. Yeah, the truss, like Brendan said, it was higher than most trusses. Usually trusses you get about 8 tons, 8 to 10 tons. This one's actually 27, 43, 43. It's got 2 wood approach spans on each side, so actually it's 4 approach spans, 2 on each side. They're the ones that govern the 3-ton. I think there's some old timber beams. One of them's got a cracked beam with a sister beside it. So that's what actually governs the load rating on that.
So that's just a pending action, and we're getting to it when we get to it.
Well, to repair the cost of it, to replace
That's
it.
what I mean.
Yeah, it's not going to be it's going to be multiple $100,000 to
I
fix that.
understand that.
And then fix the abutment where the crack
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, probably about 650 to 700,000 to replace the whole thing, is what I would estimate.
Wait, we're talking $750,000 just to do the abutments and to do what?
No, that would be the full replacement of the structure.
So that
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, then I misheard what you just said. Do we have a cost estimate to not do a full replacement?
We haven't put one of those together
not together yet. Because the fear is if the bridge is built in the 30s, the stress pan. So if it's $300,000 for everything except for that truss, and we only get another 5 or 10 years out of it, what did we gain by not spending the money to do it now? And it may be something that we can apply for one of the local bridge programs to get a cost sharing. In
Yeah,
that
the
totally
truss.
consistent.
The truss was built in 1935. It's got some pack rust and some rusting. So it's hard to say how many more years we have of that truss. So, say it costs 250 to 300,000 to replace the beams, replace all the deck, guardrail, all that stuff. Maybe we just pay that much again and get a bridge that lasts for 100 years. Is what we were kind of throwing around.
Where is that again? Kylan, where?
It's west
Kiowa,
of Sylvan.
right, just about on the county line. West of
And-
Sylvan.
Yeah,
Kiowa's
what
on the way
is that, like 20th or west? Or 20th Street or 10th? It's about,
If you take
Yeah,
20th over,
it's about the Lucas.
Crooked Bridge?
That's that crooked bridge.
the one that
Yeah,
goes over
okay.
Wolf Creek, that's 140 feet.
Oh, okay.
across.
I know where it is.
Kind
Yeah.
of.
Thanks, yeah.
Half mile east. 6
But what
miles.
determines the lifespan that you're talking about that could potentially be 5 years?
If that rust is damaged it further, it's
Yeah, you
steel
just
from
don't know.
1935.
So
But
you
the
don't think
age
it's,
of it doesn't matter. It matters what shape it's in. So who's looked at it?
We have.
We have
you can determine if that steel is,
Yeah, it's hard to know.
hardened where it could break a crack.
What is 5 years? I'd like a little better description.
I mean, it could last another 100 years. It could last 10 years.
Yeah.
There's
When
not
they
a
go,
way-
they go.
There's not a way to determine it.
It's
I can't accept that. 10 years and 100 years is a huge difference, and if you're not truly worried about it in the next 5 years, which would mean there's severe damage to it, then I don't see why you'd spend triple the money when you're looking at, maybe you're looking at a 25-year investment. I'm not sure, but what do you mean by rust? Like rust that scratches off, or it's rusted through with holes?
it's pack rust, so there's some plates that are together, so you've got some rust in between those plates. And then just in general, I think it's got some moderate rusting along the whole structure. But there was a fracture critical bridge inspection that was performed. I don't have that with me today. Brendan's got it maybe. What we're trying to say is, a new structure will probably cost twice as much, and you get a new structure. The old structure, we're going to rehab it, so you're still going to have an old truss, I guess. But you're going to have new superstructure on each of the approaches.
Yeah, Howard, you got a
Is that
question?
gonna be in the same location or to be moved one way or the other on the creek?
No, it'll be the same location. We're using the piers and the abutments. Now, if we build a new structure, you could potentially change the alignment. But if we just rehab the existing structure, it'll stay exactly the same.
That's talking years out, because you would put in, like we did for that other bridge, grant money, right? But and the state or the federal government,
Yeah, so we looked at
federal program.
Off-System 112 got selected for the Off-System Bridge program. This one, I think we chose not to apply because it wasn't quite bad enough. It is fracture critical, being the truss, but the sufficiency rating was like high 30s, and I think 112 was like 20s.
So they go based on a
Yes.
ranking
Right.
of how severe it is to
Yeah.
crap break in or
Yeah.
crash or
So
whatever.
the Off-System Bridge program is competitive, so every county usually applies for a
I
structure.
see.
And then the worst ones, the state's
Worst
got
ones get them.
$8 million that they allot, and then the worst ones usually get selected. So they've got kind of like a selection criteria.
Right.
So this structure, we didn't quite think was.
You didn't think you'd probably get grant money for it, huh? Because it's not quite that bad, huh?
It's bad, but it's not.
It's not.
Not quite as bad as this other
Not
one.
as bad as some of them.
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right. Well, any other questions on this bridge, Alexis?
Well, I mean, I'm biased. This is my district, and this is probably the most important bridge that needs attention right now in my district. So, we've already started looking at some of the stone arch bridges that I mentioned in my district. So I think,
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of bridges in all the districts that could be fixed. And there is that one over here, that one there by the Rocky Hill Road. That's one we
I
are
guess
going.
I'm just not satisfied with the answer that this one particular portion of the structure is what everything hinges on, and it could be anywhere from 10 to 100 years. That doesn't make sense to me.
She's wanting to know if ain't there a better way to evaluate that steel or that iron or whatever it is that's rusting. Can you tell us that it's good for 10 years or 20 or 40? And you can't.
That's going to be tough.
You don't think you can?
Depends on the weather.
You cannot predict the travel
Yeah.
of rust through steel.
Can't you drill into it and see if it's
Well,
I
solid?
don't want to
That's
drill
another area where
I don't want to
they
drill into it.
Now, I can extrapolate from a business I used to be in for 20 years, and we would take steel vaults, and the people that manufacture the steel vaults will not give you within 100 years the estimate of the time it's going to rust through that steel vault. You absolutely can't do it. There's so many variable conditions, particularly on a bridge like that, because in addition to wet and dry and expansion and all that stuff and rust in the joints, you're also going to have salt problems. And when you salt the road, you're going to salt the bridge, whether you want to or not, because it'll drip off of the truck. So if a guy goes down 18 when it's salted, and for some reason or other zips over and goes down that road, he's going to put salt on. Not a much, but we don't know how much he's going to put on, so we can't predict the rust. So you can't really say 5 or 10 or 20 years. It's just crapshoot.
Yeah.
Just
Like
Question.
on that, when you're talking about that rust, can't you scale the rust and see how thick you are yet on your beams, on your iron, and
Well,
get a better idea of
when you-
where you're at?
When you scale the rust off, then you have exposed bare
I
steel
know, but
again.
you don't
and
have to do it in a big area.
I
You
understand
can do
that.
it in a small area and see how much rust scale you actually have to the thickness of the original iron.
You're going to have to get a metallurgist to come out and do that. Metallurgist.
You can actually
Okay, I have to interrupt here. Kirkham and Michael has been doing bridge inspections on nearly all of our bridges for the last several years. So let's say we went ahead and did a partial reconstruction on this. How would the company then come and reevaluate this situation using that same beam with that same rust? Because you're basically telling me that all of your bridge inspections are worthless, because if there's any rust, you can't determine anything.
Wait, saying is it still rates out for this, but we would invest potentially $300,000,
And we're still gonna
and
have.
we're still going to have in the future. The cheapest point to do it is to fix it right now. So we spend this $300,000 just as a number to buy 50 years on the approaches. This truss in the center that then it only has a life of 10 years. So now I've waited 10 more years to spend that investment to get that bridge up to par. So I've already spent $300,000 in it. We should spend it again, but it's going to be costing more because now it's 10 years in the future. Material costs do not get cheaper. Labor costs do not get cheaper. Every cost, the cheapest time to do it is to do it right the first time. So doing a partial repair right now, it would cost us more in the future.
We're just trying to make you know.
You're deciding.
If we go and rehab it, replace the approaches, we're still gonna have an old truss. So we just want to let you make your aware. If you guys choose to do
it would
that,
be cheaper, but you're gonna have an old truss.
we're
You
just
ain't gonna
making you
guarantee
aware.
the
I guess I'm
length of
still
service.
not understanding. I'm not negating what Kirkland Michael has done, but if this is an indeterminate thing, then that applies to every single bridge. So how are you giving sufficiency rating?
The sufficiency rating is calculated from a number of things.
So the question is, what is that particular beam indicating in the sufficiency rating? It should have its own portion of the formula to which then you can change the sufficiency rating by what improvements we make or don't make.
So the sufficiency ratings actually calculated by KDOT's, the web portal. We just enter the ratings in and it automatically calcs it. So ADT's involved, the condition ratings.
There's an equation.
Yeah, so there's a big long equation. I don't know it off the
You
top
plug
of my
in the values and the equation computes it.
But what you're still telling me is that you can't determine the sufficiency rating of this particular portion of the bridge, so how can you do it for the whole thing, whether it has a new decking, old decking, yada yada? You're basically saying the rust is an indeterminate factor, and that could be for any bridge then.
Yeah, so the superstructure would be the truss, and you have a rating factor based off of KDOT's. I guess they have a manual, and you would choose that rating factor based off how much rust, that kind of stuff. And then I guess that's one of the factors too.
Well, in a way, I agree with Alexis here. You'd think you could have a determine there's going to be rust on all this stuff, on all this old iron steel bridges, right? So you'd think you could have a rating says you could determine, well, this has that much rust, so it's not that bad. This is, in other words, different degrees of rust, and that could tell you severity. And that's what Alexis is asking. I agree with her there. You can't tell the severity because you really don't know how bad the rust is.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Or how good the rivets are that were put in 1935, the condition of them.
You know,
It's
what the deal is your bridge is going to be good for 27 tons if you fix it for the next few years. Few is an indeterminate number, so you have to decide, or we have to decide, make a value judgment on whether or not it's worth doubling the money, putting a new bridge in, or spending half of the money and go with what you
and then
got.
it could take all legal loads. So this one is restricted by the SU7 truck, the special unit truck, 7 axles.
So
I
it's
don't know
just-
if any of the people out there would have 7 axles, but certain emergency vehicles, even updating that, may not be able to travel across. So that's what that SU7 generally is.
All right. We got a question, Dr. Sharon.
What I was wondering now, like, say, if they put all this new on there, and then your truss fails, do they have to take all the new off to fix the truss?
So
That's a good question.
So span 1 and 2 are the old timber. So if we rehab those and replace those with steel I-beams, and then span 3 is the truss. So if span 3 failed. Yeah, that's a good question. It just depends what all failed.
It sounds like we don't have all the answers today. And
like if span 3 failed and just span 3 failed, could you come in and put some bigger beams or something in there? We'd have to look at it.
these are a lot of what ifs.
You have to
We can.
No, that's a good line of questioning. Don't let that drop. That's exactly what we need to know. If we're going to invest the money for just the partial fix, then we want to know if this rusted beam actually fails. Can we still utilize everything something we've already purchased and just replace the beam at that time in the future.
It all depends what failed.
How bad it
So if
is.
the truss has just failed.
And if it broke in and it damaged
Right.
things.
And then like if it damages the
Right.
piers,
Right.
if only the truss fails, and the piers are fine and everything, then
You wouldn't know.
you might be able to.
Depending on what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say.
Trouble would be
exactly.
getting a crane in to move it with the creek bit to put in the new pieces.
Well, it doesn't sound like we're going to decide much tonight on this issue.
Not at all. Sorry I brought it up.
Well, so we'll discuss it later. You
I
may
had
want
it
to
here for
try
next
to
week. Yeah.
try to get a little more input, like the question Sharon asked. If we could, if it failed, if we could, what we fixed, if we did fix it that way, if that would be usable. There's probably different situations, like you said. So.
I do appreciate you following up on this particular bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. Anything else, Tanner?
I think everything can kind of wait till next month.
Okay.
Yeah. Brent and I had some good conversations today. So.
Anything more news on the wind towers? The repower.
Yes. So Jeremy Price with Anel called Brendan and I both. We took the old RMA and added some language, and we sent it to them and then the county attorney, and they're reviewing it.
Okay.
And then I'm sure they're going to probably have some comments and some of our revisions, and we plan on working through those. I think I did tell them, I was like, it'd be nice. I think there's some questions. It'd be nice if they came here and gave a presentation and told what's going to get replaced as far as drivetrains and nacelles.
That'd be great. If you could ask him to do that.
Yeah, so
I'd appreciate
he
that.
actually just emailed me today and was thinking maybe January 13th.
So he got on the
Yes.
agenda.
Oh, okay.
So January 13th
Oh, good.
is when he's going
I
to
don't
be here.
remember that.
Because a lot of people are asking me about what's going on with that stuff, and I said, "Well, you were working on it. You guys
Right,
were."
right.
Yeah.
I had that. What? Any guess when they're actually going to start work out there? Time frame wise?
Oh, I think they have to have it done by end of 2020. I think they're getting
This
some
year
tax.
or next year?
Yeah, next year.
We're almost
There's
next
tax
year.
grants.
I think they have to have it done so they can qualify for. I think the tax credits are coming up.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is me. I think this is what he was. Kind of
Yeah,
thinking.
okay. Yeah, keep us
so we
posted
gotta
on that.
So I think they were maybe going to start summer or spring, but we can ask him that on the 13th.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
He would know more about it since he's actually managing it.
All right. Anything else?
So I think that's all for me for this time.
All right, Brendan.
Yeah, I had a couple things. He's got to get all the way back to Lindsborg tonight. So
Well, and we were wanting to talk about,
Yeah.
just go back to the
Budget.
The budget,
Yeah.
and what we may.
So about 2 weeks back, I come in with our budget as of that date. I don't remember if you still have the sheets or not on that, where we had what was sent out, what we
Well-
spent on everything.
Somewhere.
Okay. So that's what I thought you were needing from me. I wasn't aware of it more, so I apologize for not having that for you, Dawn.
Well, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna need that, or if we don't do any carryover, right? If we don't do anything, there won't be any.
There won't if you don't do any the amendment and the carryover for my account department, the money that was not used for chip sealing this year, I will not have that available for future. The equipment that should have been purchased this year before I was brought in, that money will be gone for that equipment that needed to be purchased. Just it wasn't. I don't know the reasoning why, but it wasn't done before I came in. So I recommend keeping that money around because that money should have been spent this year, but it wasn't.
Well,
There's
we
issues,
had all
there's
these
things going on. Yeah.
Issues going on. Yeah.
So it's your decision whether to decide or not.
You don't have those numbers anymore, do you?
No, I didn't bring them with me today because when we had talked to them then, I thought that was
Yeah.
it on it that we were needing. So I do not have those in front of me now. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Alexis, do you have any input with that?
Well, I really don't think that we should transfer nothing. That doesn't help our cause because we still have more purchases to make that we've talked about for replacing equipment, and that is what Mr. Mackay just said. It's money that was budgeted for this year that we did not spend purposefully that department, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to increase the budget.
No, that like in 2021's budget, just because I had 500,000
Right.
next year in capital outlay to expend on equipment.
Right.
2021, I'm not going to come in and say, well, I spent 500,000, I want 500,000 again. That's not. I mean, my budget for 2020 it was already set before I came in here. I'm going to work with whatever budget you give me. It's just I feel those expenses that should have been spent this year that weren't for one reason or another. If we don't keep those funds around for the following years, it's going to put that much more stuff behind. It just the roads didn't get chip sealed. Not that they didn't need it, just with personnel and timing, it couldn't be done. And they made an investment. I've got material in the north lot. Some of it can be reused for patching. Some of it also, it's now a wasted material. It's a wasted expense. It was purchased and then not used. And it's not. It doesn't do it any good just sitting out like that.
Yeah.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we are way over budget with gravel purchase, and that is partially because we doubled the price we were paying out. We did not sufficiently increase the budgeted line item for expense, and this has nothing to do with you because this is what we did for last year coming into this year. So I really think your budget is probably going to be heavily manipulated between how it was spent this year and then what's going to be happening in 2020, and that gives us a little bit of leeway to move some of those numbers around, along with purchasing and replacing equipment.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll have to increase your gravel budget probably. Do you have a number, Alexis, you would like to make on a resolution there for, that group?
I don't because I guess I could look at our last reports. When did we get our last reports sent out?
Oh, a couple weeks ago.
That spreadsheet that I showed you has the last information. So
Okay.
that snippet that I emailed you guys
Yeah.
for Road and Bridge
All right, I got it here. I'm gonna.
had a cash balance on December 11th of $1,021,000. I have taken out all of the expenses for the month of December in payroll of $193,000, so it leaves his cash balance of $827,373.40. He's required to carry over a 2020 balance of $193,488, which leaves us $633,885. With the amended budget, he has $633,832 remaining. So again, I used the lower number. So he has $633,000. Last year, prior year expense was $32,261. So you're looking at least somewhere around $600,000 to be on the conservative side.
Yeah.
If past history repeats itself. If it does not, then that's a
Right. And I see on your email you said you could safely guesstimate 575,000. But then you didn't know what he had spent, right?
I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
So that
The only expenses that haven't been accounted for was
It was about
600.
Well,
600 for the-
11,000.
Yeah, 11,000 for repairs for what's already been started this month, and then $633, I believe, was what it was for the laser level equipment from Salina.
Well-
And what are we doing about the billing, the fuel billing?
So Next Tech, we've been in contact with them. When I came on, I was told by them everything was all done. Nothing had been done. Precision Electric hadn't been contacted to run power out there. When I talked to them in October, it was the first time they had ever been out there and been contacted. So then I talked with our IT person from Next Tech. He gave me a number for someone from Next Tech that was supposed to be getting in touch with me. This was back in early October. I've called just about every week and left voicemail. I've gotten nothing from them. Maybe because they heard we were not going to be renewing our contract with them. I don't know. So Wilson Communications, they've offered to do it. I wasn't aware that this was that big of an issue because it was never talked about until December 24th was when I got a call from the clerk's office that we haven't done this. When I had spoken with the commission previous week, before that, when we accepted the contract, they were going to be coming out on January 2nd to install the equipment that needs to be out there so we can connect with our fuel server to get it out.
Okay, so I think what we just need to know is what do you think is owed to the highway department for fuel?
I honestly can't tell you because we did it for 2 months when I came in here, and I don't know if it
Like
was
2 to
done
3
before
months
that.
we haven't
Yeah,
billed
it was
since
two
September.
months.
And that's the sheriff's department. And
Sheriff's Department, fire, anyone else that uses our fuel system up there.
But see, I'm concerned over the whole deal, because it appears to me we lost total accountability to fuel. We have no idea.
Correct.
We could
I
be
agree.
filling his pickup, half of the farmers' pickups around here.
Well, no, it's not like that. They have to use the key.
I understand what you say. You gotta have
Yeah.
a key and a password.
Yes.
But you have no security on any of that stuff, and I'm concerned and have been gravely concerned from the start. At least we could be taking pen and pencil and writing down what they get and all that stuff.
So my employees on their timesheets write down the fuel they use from there and from
And
their
how
barrels.
come we haven't consolidated that into
Because
a
that's just
report?
my employees. That's not the sheriff's department, fire department, EMS. They don't write that down. They just use their
Which
key.
is all the more reason for me to express my concern that this should have been fixed back in October.
It should have been
And
fixed
I would
this
have
summer
thought
when they
you'd
ordered
been
the parts.
stomping on Next Tech's desk for 2 months.
Yeah.
And been down at Wilson, talking to Wilson Communication, having them up here first thing Tuesday or the 2nd. This is a grave concern to me.
Yeah.
It's a total loss of accountability out there.
I agree.
Well,
And I can't get any employees. I cannot code any new employees.
do you
out
think
there.
the sheriff, like there's the sheriff's department, them getting fuel? Do you think they have any idea how much they've gotten?
I don't know if
Like
they
when
keep
they
track
go
of
fill up their
themselves.
car, did they get a? It doesn't give them no
No
ticket or nothing.
printout. Nope. They plug their key in. They type in their number,
And it just roll.
and then they type in what pump they want and their odometer mileage, and then it prints out. The system's not right because when I looked before we can disconnect the system, I had negative 60,000 gallons of diesel fuel. The system, it should be able to read it correctly. I shouldn't have to go out there, unlock the door to the building, and look at that meter and be able to tell how much fuel I have in each thing.
Yeah.
That system, when you dialed in, should be right. I was negative 60,000 gallons of diesel fuel, negative 80,000 gallons of unleaded. So inventory was never kept right ever since its installation.
Well,
I have a
that would
question.
be of concern to me.
And that's what,
A
when
major-
we talked
that's
with
a
Caleb, as
major-
we got into this
A
new
major
system.
financial issue right there.
Well, we need to get it fixed. Lexus has a
I
question.
have a question about this though. I'm still not understanding. Is it that you don't have access to retrieve the information, or the information is not even logged?
We don't have We don't have access to see the information. It's on the computer in there. Originally, we dialed into it. When we changed, Courthouse and everyone changed from going to AT&T to Next Tech or Wilson. So ours was a dial-up modem out there through AT&T. So when they're cutting the AT&T phone lines, that means no connection to that box. Next Tech had come out and installed internet out there. I was told someone else had run power out to that box so they can plug in a wireless AP unit so that way they can communicate, because running the hard line through the existing conduit, it's sealed off because you're in a gas area. You have to have those sealed per codes so you don't get gas buildup in the building. So there was no way to rerun a wire through the conduit. So the options were go with wireless AP units or trench the concrete where all the gas lines are. No one apparently wanted to trench the gas lines, so they had gone ahead and purchased a Ethernet port, which it would need regardless of which system you went with. That was done before me. The power was supposed to be installed, and the AP units were supposed to be, I don't know.
Let's back up just a little bit, because you were the one that wanted to trench the concrete.
And then
I
we-
specifically
yeah.
sent Jade out from Next Tech to look and meet with you out there, and you didn't show up. And Jade called and said, nobody's here. And then I think the second time Jade come out, he met with you, and you decided you wanted to trench the concrete. Then you decided not to trench the concrete. So you can blame... I get tired
It's
of
on me.
blaming businesses.
No, it's me.
Yeah, I hate blaming businesses that we're giving Next Tech a bad name here when it wasn't Next Tech. It is our failure. Our failure all along. When you started, I told you, Precision Electric was supposed to be installing a power cable, and Next Tech needed to install something to communicate. You said, I've got it taken care of. I
Yep.
know what it is that I need. And we
I
even
was
told you
wrong
where the
on
little
the card.
cord was at.
Yep.
The phone connection guy come up. So, let's just stop blaming everybody and let's just
it's
fix
on
it.
me. I should have gotten this fixed beforehand. That's my fault.
Well, we need to for now. So we need to deal with that quicker. Like
He's
Jim
coming
said,
out here January 2nd to install it.
Okay.
Or possibly tomorrow when he talked to
Well,
Caleb today.
New Year's Eve tomorrow, probably not. Nothing going on, probably. But yeah, well, we need to get it fixed. Obviously, and Jim's got a good concern. I do
Yeah.
too, because who knows who might get fuel out there. And I'm sorry, but we hopefully trust our employees. But if somebody has a key and a, like you said,
If they have a
code,
key, they can plug it in.
they
and
can put it in their purse.
Well, they can do it right now, even if we have access to it.
Yeah, I know.
Because I don't have cameras out there to
Right.
see. I just have, they type in their number and they, mileage,
Right, we're
and
trusting,
they can fill it up themselves.
we're trusting
However,
the employees.
whether I can see it or not right now, even when I can see those numbers, people could still be putting in their personal vehicle, just using their key and their number.
Well, that, we need to get that fixed, you know. Anyway. But back to, back to this carryover. Don did email us about, we should probably do, like you were saying, we need to send, like we did before with these other resolutions.
Do you want to split it evenly? Do you want to put, what's the dollar amounts you'd like to go into? Let's
Well,
talk
you-
about special.
Well, you
road
recommended here's 575,000
total, and then
Total.
they can choose the 4 funds you wanted to go into.
four of his funds, the highway department funds. What funds would you need it most in, you know?
The special road would be, you had 160,000 before we paid Mr. Brown out of that fund to do Wilson Lake repairs.
Okay,
I would recommend that go back into the road portion, the special
Yeah.
road.
How much?
It was 160,000 before we paid out the repairs for Wilson Lake Estates.
well, that was like 55 or 60.
55 and then another 8,500 for
Yeah, for the
seating.
seated. Okay,
I don't think we paid for seating yet.
Okay, we didn't.
not yet. Well, we authorized it, didn't we? Doug Bean.
We
So
did.
that
It's
would
already
be
been
part of
seen.
your expense,
I
right?
I don't show us having
We haven't
that much
received
money
the.
coming out.
Oh, he haven't billed us yet.
He hasn't billed us from there.
Okay,
yet.
well, there's another outstanding bill then.
Correct.
That's another $8,000. So
But
that's,
it was at 160 before the repairs were put
Okay.
out there.
well, I'm just trying to
I would
figure out.
recommend carrying that over to use that in the special road so that way it can be reused for chip sealing next year.
So I'm going to make a motion here to do
Okay,
this.
hang on 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I don't think Branda came out of that fund. Because I don't show that either of those, none of those funds had 160,000 in it. Your special highway improvement fund had 168,000, but
We,
that was the
we
bridge
pulled it. We
fund.
pulled it out of the chip sealing budget from the actual year, not any of the special funds.
Okay,
That's why I was saying that chip sealing budget, my 2019 chip sealing budget was at 160,000. We paid 55 and some change from that for Mr. Brando's repairs.
okay, you were saying special fund.
To
That's
move
not special.
to move that 160 to the special road.
Got it.
So which
Because that's
what,
what-
what are the 4 accounts here? Remind me again.
Your options are
What?
special county road,
Special.
special machinery, special road improvement. That is the fund that we used to have for a building that we used and put in the fuel
For
station.
the landslide?
No,
Oh.
that was to build a new building out where the
Out
fuel
by the
tanks.
Oh,
Dollar
new
General.
building, okay.
But we used it for the fuel tanks. And a special highway improvement fund, and that's the money where we're putting that cost share of this bridge, state bridge funds in. So they do a project, we submit the project, and it's normally the chip sealing project to bring it in, and that's our money for bridges. So that's where any repair of bridge.
So that's the federal fund exchange that I filled out and submitted
Okay.
back in September for us.
So if we do 575,000, which is kind of what Don stated here, and I think that's a good number, in my opinion, out of, as a resolution to do that, where would you want to, what breakdown would you like out of these 4 funds?
160,000 to the special road, the first one.
Special road, 160,000.
Correct.
Okay.
The special county road.
And then we got 575. So,
That gets us down to 415.
yeah, and then what else you want to do?
I would put 300 into equipment, the special equipment, special machinery.
Machinery, 300. Okay. That's,
The remainder-
that's 460.
Yep. So the remainder, the 115, I would put into the special highway improvement, the one that we use for our bridge cost share, that we put our cost share into for our bridges.
Highway improvement,
Correct.
160?
Yes, the 115. That would be what's
115.
left.
115, I'm sorry.
Is that where you think he would take the tuck pointing from,
Yes. That would
that we're getting ready to bid on?
correct. The tuck pointing, this cost sharing that we have for this ALVIP program here.
So nothing in road improvement?
No, that's where they put the money for building a building up there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I think the counties are decided that they're not putting it, moving
That's
it
a
to shop.
Have you heard that? Well, Alexis, do you have any?
And Brandon and Levine come out of the special county road.
Brando already came out. Levine would come out of prior year's expenses, but that would be coming out of where our chip ceiling was at. That was what the county commission decided, and we paid for
I
it.
think we'd have more than enough to cover that.
Alexis, do you have any?
So I have a question for Dawn.
Okay.
Dawn, isn't the special bridge the one that you can only levy the 2 mills and put into?
Yes, and that one isn't getting any money put into.
Okay, so then that sounds fine.
We
Yeah,
use
I-
a special
The
highway.
total of 575 is good.
It would be basically going into Fund 13, 14, and 16. Your special
Okay.
bridge fund is Fund 12.
Well, okay.
Blank resolution.
I don't have a problem with what
No.
was discussed.
Can I do
Yeah.
the resolutions and then I'll
Yeah.
bring them back down? Okay. Is that dollar amount okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go over it again one more time. Special road, 160,000, right? Machinery, 300,000. Road improvement, 115,000, right? Those three things.
I have to find the third resolution before we do this. So. You guys can go on with business. and I
Okay.
can-
Is it Lex? Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Those three things. I agree. We should transfer that over there. We need to fix those projects. We have that carryover. Okay, we'll go on then for now. What else, Brendan? You got anything?
Russell County, was there a date that you want me to set up to meet with them, the commissioners
The
out
commissioners
there?
out there
Yes.
at the land.
And
Where
I-
at the landside
We
area.
can meet out at Wilson Lake, or it can be up to the commission. And then here's this, we'll talk about it more next Monday for any changes you want made to the proposals. I cleaned up the language in it, fixed spelling errors that I had found in the original agreement that have been going on,
Okay.
and basically put in, it said removing snow debris from their area, so basically it wasn't clear if there's a storm that comes through, a house lands on the roadway. Well, according to our agreement, it didn't stipulate who was actually responsible for it. So I cleaned up the language of it and explained things out more in depth, and then.
Does this include the roads? Those, what's that, 1.7 miles?
Correct.
On the original plat?
So basically this explains more that we're responsible for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
And then there's numbers in there that stipulate what X, Y, and Z are,
okay.
and then.
And
the
that
agreement-
original plat map, that roads is what's key.
Basically, that's what we're doing, yeah.
Because once, like Steve there, he's mail carrier right there, and Leanna wants to know for sure exactly what we're gonna approve. That way then you guys can give the postmaster or the big guys in the post office to know to authorize you guys to deliver mail there. Yeah. So he needs to know that too for sure. So, okay. Now there are some roads that, Steve, you deliver on that east side of the highway.
Private roads.
Those are private though, that ain't
They're Russell
county.
County.
Okay, that's
It's
Russell.
in Russell County, but they're not.
I can't believe that's in Russell County, that's east of the highway.
Yep, that is Russell County. There's one house that's Lincoln County, and Lincoln
Huh.
County.
Maybe
they
I
wanted-
guess that whole
They
thing
wanted,
runs
to, yeah, they wanted to connect the road to Russell County's road over there, but Lincoln County, I guess at the time said no. So they have a very long private driveway from Lincoln County side to their
Okay,
home.
well, that's fine. I just, Steve and Leanne wanted to know because based on what we do here or approve,
Yep.
then that may affect their mail service out there.
And
All
then
right,
Christmas Day, we believe,
we'll review this too and look about it later.
either Christmas Day or sometime overnight, the morning on the 26th, we had one of our stone arch culverts, bridges, that was damaged by an accident. Someone had hit the banister, and the banister on that is completely in the ditch.
Where's that at?
100th and Teal.
Huh?
100th and Teal.
Oh, 100
Out by Lance Peterson's.
Oh,
So when I spoke with Justin, Sheriff's Office Friday, he was aware, he had seen the incident, taken pictures,
is it
and
damaged real bad?
Blew it off.
Oh,
yeah, I tried to print out pictures, but I could not.
well,
My printer would not work when I came back to the office at 6:30 to try and get them out, and I couldn't get the pictures. I have them here on the phone if you'd like to see.
well, I don't need to see
But
that.
I will bring them next Monday, the pictures.
That's fine. Yeah, we're gonna,
The gentleman they're in the hospitals, to my knowledge, still. So
oh, really?
yeah, they were transferred to Wichita Friday.
Wow,
Talked with
okay.
Dustin.
They didn't know whether there was a pre-existing medical condition or not, so that's
Yep. Just I wanted you to be aware that was
Okay.
the
damaged.
bridge usable now.
It's fine. The bridge is
Yeah,
usable,
it
but
just
the
took that-
banister is off.
Okay, all right.
So I didn't know if the commission wants us to pull the bricks out and remortar them ourselves, or how you want us to handle that for now.
you have the capability to fix it?
We can at least stack it back up. It was done by the Public Works program, looking at the stones and how they were manufactured out there. It's not like some of the stone culverts, they don't have precision. The keystones are just the keystone. This is an artistically designed keystone, which I found similar on like the stone arch in Denmark, where Public Works program is stamped up with Public Works. Looking at the size and the scope of this and just how the stones were cut, it's in good shape. It's been rehabbed probably in the last 20 years. They put an inner steel arch. I think we can at least stack the rocks back up as a banister, and then if the commission decides we want to regrout it ourselves, we can.
Yeah, you might as well do it if you're gonna do it. Regroute it as you stack, rather than just stack it up. You can put some kind of a temporary
Well, with the
barrier
temperature
up there.
right, with the temperature
Well, yeah,
right
I
now,
understand.
it wouldn't.
But can't you put some kind of a temporary thing up there? Or it's not that heavily traveled.
No.
Because you can't go anywhere on that damn road. So I'd do signage and what you need for the minimum safety. And then when the weather gets better, if you got the capability to fix it, I'd let
Okay.
the bridge crew fix it.
And then most of the other stuff, I did reach out to Mr. Bell, Mr. Weineke, spoke with them last week. So Mr.
Okay.
Bell, he's getting a tank car from Wichita that he's willing to donate to put in there for that bridge.
Okay.
He believes the tank car, when he gets it, he's going to let us know so we can
Yeah.
get actual measurements.
Okay.
Make sure that pipe can withstand it.
Good.
So Tanner had actually looked at it before.
You think that'll work fine?
So with an 8-foot pipe, when you looked at it, it would hold a 2-year storm. With two 8-foot pipes, it's has a 4-year storm, and currently it is rated for a 10-year storm, or was it?
I think it's a little over 5.
Okay, rated for a 5-year storm.
Just from running some quick hydraulics. I think we did those a year and a half ago.
So with the 10-foot pipe, I recommend sheeting it with concrete because we know it will overtop at some point.
Sure.
So that way, just for future ease of maintenance, topping it, making it similar to like what you'd find in
Okay.
a vented Ford. We would have cleanup from buildup in the stream, but we would not lose our road surface during heavy storms. It would just, the water would go over it, the water would recede, it'd be driving surface again.
That's okay.
It's a bit more costly, but you do it right the first time, it's the cheapest it's ever
Yeah.
going to be.
No, that's fine.
And it's not going to be overly
And he's gonna-
expensive.
We can
If
do
he's
it.
providing that tank
Right.
car, that's less than we would. That's even less we would pay. We'd still put head wall collars on it, drive sheet piling,
Okay.
which we can do with our equipment.
Sounds good. I'm glad you're
Yep.
working with
And
it.
then Dan, I talked with him a bit about the road that we had
Yeah.
looked at back when I first
That
started,
dirt
the
road.
dirt road that gets inundated with water, and how we would need to clean out the culvert there, and if he would be willing to donate material from a nearby area to help build that up. I'm going to meet with him in the future on it out there so we can discuss it,
Sure.
see.
We're good.
Put our eyes on it, and then he talked about the drainage on 280th and Elk, where the blacktop ends.
Yeah.
So I looked at that again. I believe we can. It needs some ditch work. The ditches need cleaned out.
Okay.
When we go to do that, I'm putting it on our list. When we do the one call, we'll get that fiber line located. Because it's going through blacktop, I would assume they directionally bored it, so that line should not be in the area where we would disturb it by cleaning up
Okay.
the ditches, which would help the drainage area quite a bit. He had suggested moving it further back in the field so it can drain properly. Looking at our right of way out there, it's not something we can do within our own right of way.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks for talking to him, Brenda.
And the other
Appreciate
stuff that I have, it can wait till
it. Yeah.
next week. Just
Okay.
little things, improvements that I feel we should do for our north lot.
Okay.
We have the material on hand that we would be using with, so it's basically a winter project for when we can't be on our roadways because they're too wet. So
Yeah.
keep
Okay.
my employees being productive.
They're all one set.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Which is the original? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter,
Okay.
whichever one's willing to give them.
Back to resolution 2019-18, transfer of funds from the road fund 2019 budgeted funds into the special county road fund. I make a motion we approve this resolution.
Well, there's 3 of them here, one for each amount of money.
Oh, okay.
But
You have
There's one for 300,000, one
18,
for
19, and
one for
20.
115,
Yeah.
and one for.
I make a motion, I'll correct my motion, to approve all three funds because they total out to the 575 as previously denominated
Right.
at 160,000, 115,000, and 300,000.
I'll second it. Motion been made and seconded to approve these three resolutions, 2019-19, -20, -18.
Yep.
One for 160,000, one for 115, one for 300,000 for these three funds we previously discussed. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Not opposed. We'll
Sign away. That's, you have
Okay.
3 sets of originals there.
Is there anything else you need from Tanner? He got an hour drive to get home.
Go.
No,
Go.
yeah, if you want to go, Tanner, yeah.
Not to kick you out or anything.
Unless you
I don't
want to sit and listen to our wonderful
No,
discussion.
it's interesting.
I don't want your wife getting mad at us.
She'll be all right.
It might be that she didn't want him home. Did you ever think of that?
Well, they did decide to stay here for the meeting.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
No, thank you for updating us, Tanner.
Oh, yeah, if you got any
Brendan, you have anything
questions.
else?
My
Alexis,
stuff can wait till next month.
Alexis, do you have anything else for Brendan or Tanner?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Go do some study on ferric and ferric oxide.
All right. Well, thanks, Brendan. You're done too then. We do have, we have a, tax abatement. I'll let you look at it.
There's actually two there. One's behind a cliff. Both of them are sale of watercrafts.
Yeah, there's two of them there.
Yep.
We have two tax abatements.
This is a Crestliner 16 boat
Yeah,
for Gregory and Paula Sue Nichols.
yeah. Here's one tax abatement for, Micah and Kayla Brown for, $14.74 from a boat, watercraft, glass truck boat. And, this other one is,
This one is the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's for $13 and change.
yeah. And another one from Greg Nichols and Paula Sue Nichols. Sold an 83 Crestliner 16-foot boat with a 40-horse motor. And, getting
It's at the very bottom.
$13.
$13.78. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Those two numbers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, we'll do one at a time here, I guess. First tax abatement for control number 201911. Tax abatement for the amount of $14.74.
I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and second to approve this tax. Any discussion, I'm sorry? If not, motion's been made and seconded to approve this tax abatement 20191. Also, waiver say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried, none
Approved by the
opposed.
commission.
Do we have to sign that or?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can sign Randy.
Approved by the
Okay.
commission. While he's signing, I'll make a motion that we approve the tax abatement for control number 201912 for $13.78 for Gregory and Paula Sue Nichols.
And I'll second that. Motion's been made and seconded to approve, tax abatement 201912 for $13.78. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried, none opposed.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now what do we got? We got Alexis, you got any eventually here someday?
Yes, I wanted to talk about the minutes.
Have you,
And I thought I had printed off the ambulance. We need to do an ambulance transfer as well, if you want to.
Oh, okay.
I thought I printed it off, but I had prepared one.
and you have your,
Apparently, I forgot to hit print. For $50,000. Yes, $50,000.
An ambulance resolution.
Yes. It would transfer ambulance $50,000 from their regular operating fund to their capital improvement fund. And I have that they would have a budget $56,742 remaining, cash remaining of $56,926. And they had prior year expenditures of $1790.81, and we're just cool with all the bills that we've been receiving. So
Good.
you just tell me what that means.
So do we need to transfer it, or are we good to go?
I would like to speak to that.
okay,
We just had that bid for remounting the box, and so we will need money for that. And a lot of what we should have collected last year, we ended up kind of just absorbing into the budget. So that is all coming back. I do believe we should transfer this one.
okay.
The full $50,000, or that would leave $6,000 to do prior year expenses.
And you said last year's was 17?
Was $1,790.
Oh, 1,700.
$1,700.
So maybe leave double that. I don't know. I'm not sure what's been going on there with the billing process.
At $50,000, it would leave about $6,742 to spend.
Okay.
I
think
don't
that
I don't
sounds
know
good.
what to say. So
Yeah.
Again, that would be to left over to pay for this year's bills.
would be-
And that would go into March,
yes.
just like you told us before.
Yeah. So we know we have Westar. We know we have fuel.
And-
Other than that, I don't know what they have. You know, if they've ordered supplies.
Yeah.
When he was in the office the one day and we talked about it some more, he had said that we had all of the bills, and him and Hannah were talking about what she had entered and not entered. It would just be a matter of if they had to order something in between, or if there was something ordered that he forgot about.
Let's move the 50,000 so we can pay for the ambulance repair.
Okay. I'm gonna print that resolution then,
Okay,
and I will
I agree, 50,000 too.
go get it.
Yeah, I
Okay,
would rather see us transfer that now than go into a longer payment plan on paying for the vehicle update.
Was Derek gonna check on Lend-Lease with the local banks?
well, I don't know, we never really got to, he thought that that was an option, but we never really made a decision to have him pursue that.
Somebody ought to ask him though, wouldn't you think? Just in
Well,
case.
maybe we should have him come back, and now that if we're gonna do this 50,000 transfer, he could use part of that, like Alexis just stated, to, help pay for that.
Well, the more down payment we make, the less time we have to spend making payments, and the
Right.
smaller the payments. So
Right.
we don't need to be levying taxes to make payments on something that we can pay cash for, since we have to transfer now.
Right, I agree.
But if we can do a Lend-Lease with the local bank, then we keep some of that money here in the county, probably get a better rate.
Yeah, that guy,
No,
yeah,
pay cash and get it over with.
land lease, yeah, you don't wanna pay interest. She don't wanna pay interest. She's a cash, I am too, I like cash too. Either way,
Let's open it up to some public comment while we're waiting on Dawn.
yeah, you got public comments here, we'll start talking public stuff. You guys got anything to say?
Pay cash.
Pay cash, I agree. Then you don't have to
Yeah.
borrow money and pay interest,
I
right?
don't have a credit card, I pay cash.
$100 bills, right? There you go. Got a wad of them, I'll bet.
Well, I'm setting
I
my,
feel that it's unfair for the government to collect money and make interest on it,
I'm not right.
and then pay bank interest on money borrowed that we're using taxpayer money to make payments on.
No, I agree. I like cash too, Alexis. Now, if we could get a really good deal, land lease with 0 interest, that'd be different. But I don't think we can get that.
If you ever sit down with that, most of the time them do not work. because you're paying enough more up front. Craig and I've done that down at the shop several times, and most of the time, that's not the cheapest.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We'll do resolution 2019-21 here. Transfer of funds. Be resolved this 13th day of December 2019 pursuant to KSA 12-110D to transfer $50,000 from the Lincoln County Ambulance Service 2019 budgeted funds into the Lincoln County Ambulance Service Capital Outlay Fund. Adopted by the Lincoln County, Kansas Board of Commissioners this 30th day of December 19th. Any more discussion, Alexis? Or Jim?
Nope.
I move we approve resolution 2019-21.
I'll second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 2019-21. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried, none opposed. Oops, sorry, got it. All right, I think we're done with those for now, unless there's more. Do we want to? The minutes, yeah, let's go to the minutes.
I would like to address, I know this is superficial, but I think it's important. Under Highway Department, it says that Wally Sheldon moved barricades to travel across the closed road of North 150th, and Gableman related that he had approved and that the barricades will be reinstalled the same date. I guess I just don't really want to see the word approved there, because unless we're going to delegate responsibility to one particular member of the chair, you know, if Mr. Gableman gave individual permission to someone to do something on a public road, that's kind of a separate issue. It's not really the commission doing that, unless we have somehow designated him as the spokesperson, or if we're going to give special permission to the chairman at any certain time to make those kind of decisions. I mean, I don't feel comfortable telling any one of my constituents to move barricades, but if one of you do, that's something different.
We had agreed when we started this whole operation out there that we would allow him 1 day's access to move his crops. And this was the 1 day that he chose to move his crops. He had not done that beforehand.
Well, I guess
I
didn't agree to that because we never voted on it, and
yeah, we did. We did that out there on the
the
spot.
option was for him to drive through his own field. I thought that's what was going to happen.
I wasn't even sure if I was supposed to put it in, but he brought it up, and I don't know how close people watch the videos. I struggle sometimes with the video because I don't know what I should put, what I shouldn't put. Sometimes I feel like I'm too wordy. Sometimes I feel like I'm not wordy enough. So, you know, nobody's going to hurt my feelings regardless of what we do. But Brendan had brought it up, and that's what happened, and so...
Right, this is not a criticism of your minutes. I just want some clarification there that it says Gableman related that he approved, you know, basically it's saying that one of the commissioners approved removal of the barricades. Well, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want it to look like someone can come to one particular commissioner and say, hey, you know, can I cross this closed bridge? And then we can give them permission or something. It's a liability to the county, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I thought
Do you want me to strike it?
Well, I thought at the time, several months ago, remember Wally's wanting to do that, and we let him go
I
across.
know, and both of you
We went across.
agreed to that, and I did not.
Yeah,
So that's
but
what
you know what? We
said.
changed that then. Brendan, remember he let him. He fixed up the ditches to make a driveway. He drove on his own land then. He did go across that bridge and move the barricades. But then now it's muddy, and now he's wanting to. And I didn't really agree with Jim either on this. I mean, I don't like to give him one. I wouldn't give authority for somebody to do something without you guys approving it too. But it's over with now. We've done it, and I don't think we should unilaterally do that though in the future, unless we have.
Well, that's just what I'm trying to highlight. The word approved just kind of. I mean, I guess I
Well,
Can
it's,
can we strike approved and change it to the word discussed?
No,
I mean, it looks like one of the
it's a done
commissioners
deal.
was contacted and
Leave it
discussed
like
the
it is.
issue, but it was not a vote or an approval by the board. That's
Well,
all I want
It
clarified.
doesn't say the board, it just says I did, so leave it alone, and then I'm at fault for that. But I wouldn't change it.
But you didn't actually approve anything because you don't have authority to approve anything. That's what I'm
Well, I
getting
did
at.
approve
don't
it,
want
whether I had the
people-
authority or not, I told him he could move the rocks and then put them back. So the statement is true. I did approve it, but I did not have the authority to approve it,
How about permitted?
whatever you wanna
Well,
write.
I think that's even worse because then it actually, there
Okay.
is a permission. Okay,
Well, I
I
was
just wanted
looking
to
at
draw
some
attention
of
to it
Yeah.
because it was something that I had pushed against when it first was brought
Well-
up, to let one landowner do something the others were not permitted to do, so.
I mean, I can strike it all.
No, leave it in there, I think it ought to stay in there. We're gonna vote on it in a minute.
Okay, then down under adjourn, where it says, during discussion, Luke moved to withdraw the motion. No second was made.
Yeah, I struggled with that because you did,
Yeah.
kind
yeah.
of, but
And I think technically, according to Robert's rules, you don't have to have a second. You do have to have approval for the withdrawal. So just strike no second was made,
okay.
and then,
where's that at?
It's the page 2 of 3, the very second to last sentence, towards the end. So no second was made is on the very last sentence.
just strike no second was made, and then on the next sentence, James Gableman moved to table the motion. Because I think according to Robert's rules, you can do that. If someone moves to withdraw after the statement has been, after the chair has acknowledged the motion, you can withdraw the motion as the maker of the motion, but we never gave a formal approval of the withdrawal, so we moved on to tabling the motion. So James Gableman tabled the motion to table the motion, and I seconded it, and that motion carried, and that was correct. Does that make sense, Don?
Okay, yes.
I just wanted to clean that up a little bit.
So I'm going to put moved to table. Something's like happening, so we're going to just,
Well, it's on the next page, I think.
yeah, every time I highlight it, all of my side notes are highlighting as well. But I'll figure that out tomorrow. Okay, move to,
Table the original motion, because it wasn't a tabling of the withdrawal, it was a tabling of my original motion, so.
so I'm going to strike through. I'm striking through here so that when I send it to the newspaper, and we'll see if it can get in, they fix it, but then what I'm doing when I'm emailing out minutes and saving them for record is I'm making the changes. And
Okay.
cutting out the strike throughs, but just so you know,
Okay.
that's what I do. Okay,
Are-
so
are
I
you
have,
required statutorily to keep the strikes and all of the edits?
I don't know, Doris used to always, I was, but it just seemed like it drew the minutes out longer, that if
Yeah, I think you should just change them and move on, because I don't even think you're required to put down motions unless it's executive session.
yes, I do the strike through so that when I send to the newspaper, they can easily, and then I highlight what was struck through so they can easily just change that part because they already have it set, if that makes sense.
From the preliminary
Yeah.
draft, I see.
So I send that to the paper, but then I modify and make the changes for your guys' Commissioner's Journal and everybody else.
Yeah, okay.
So I've got struck through, no second was made, and the struck through that rather than Flew withdraw her motion, that the board, and then I added to table the motion. So it will read, James Gableman moved to table, sorry, the original motion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
That's all I had.
All right, are you ready to approve them?
I move to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second. Motion's been made and second to Approve the minutes as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. None opposed. All right, now what do we got?
Well, we tabled a motion, and we were instructed to email our comments on human resources, and I sent you my copies.
Yeah.
Both of you did that.
Yeah, I got yours. I haven't emailed it any yet. I was reading it, but thinking I like the last one. Do you want?
Do we need to discuss this in the next meeting then?
Do you want to discuss?
I think we need to have a rather lengthy session about HR, and I did send my email, but to Dawn only, just for fear of serial communication about the HR position. So I did read your email, Mr. Gableman. I don't necessarily disagree with anything that you said. I sent mine was more of a breakdown of duties. Dawn, did I cover mostly what you think needs to be in there?
I just scanned it briefly today, but yes, it looks like a lot of things was covered that I was thinking of. But I can't say I just thoroughly digested it because I had too many other things happening today that.
We could discuss this like.
Yeah,
I think we should discuss this later.
Yeah, you talked about wanting to get an ad out in the middle of the month, so maybe next week or, the week after, we should really have an hour-long session about it.
Okay.
Yeah, a major discussion so we can determine.
Okay.
We need to do something. Just what we need to determine. And I like your last one there. I think what we kind of discussed before, but we'll go over that next
Okay, well,
week.
schedule us a meeting sometime.
Okay.
I had one more thing. It's another thing that we've been doing, and I think I sent
You said
everybody
one,
an email on
Yeah.
the county handbook. I had some thoughts, and we probably need to get on that pretty soon too.
So we had scheduled the 16th, let me look at the right calendar. I think we had scheduled the 13th that you guys would have a session, and the 20th then you would have a session with the department heads.
Okay.
And I may be off a week
What's the
for
13th?
the handbook.
That worked
Oh,
for me.
handbook, yeah. Right, we talked about that. I can't remember the dates either.
That's 2 meetings hence.
Yes.
Works for
What
me.
do we-
Does that work?
Yep,
Yeah.
just for me.
Yes.
I will make sure it is on there, but I remember kind of doing that. I just can't remember which 2 days.
Okay. Well, we have some correspondence here we never discussed earlier.
I've got another thing I want to do after
Okay.
all too.
Well, okay, you go ahead now, Jim.
I also sent an email to everybody, and I'd like to present these marks formally and in the record. When one works for an employer, one is expected to perform their duties to the best of their abilities. The employee owes the employer total loyalty and job performance. In the Old West parlance, that's called riding for the brand, and that's what we expect. What is expected of every Lincoln County employee are these maxims. You may not do other than county work while on the county line. This is in the handbook. You should not make or receive personal calls. That is in the handbook. Email and other electronic devices that belong to the county may not be used for other than county business or for pleasure. In the handbook. County offices are to be open and serving the public every working day. Management must schedule employee leave so that this can be done. Employees are required to be at their places of duty and productive for county work 40 hours each week. Leave and medical problems will be taken into account by management. Leave, medical absence, and overtime are clearly defined in the handbook. All employees should review their procedures and adhere to those handbook procedures strictly. Every Lincoln County employee should review the handbook now and vow to follow the procedures herein diligently, beginning right now. Violations of county principles cannot be and will not be tolerated in the future. We absolutely must stay on top of the money. All monies for budgeting has to be funneled through the county clerk. In her duties, by law, she is required to do that. It's not after the fact. It's got to be on time and before they're due. This is the law. Let's start all this right now. And this has been presented to the county clerk for her inclusion in the minutes as read.
Any discussion on that, Alexis? Did you hear it?
I did. I read the email too. It's excellent, really. I mean, there are a lot of things there that have needed to be said for quite a while, and
The intent,
unfortunately,
I think the intent of this commission and everybody else should be a severe crackdown on personal business, 40 hours a week, productive work. This is, all you would expect is somebody to do their job. That's it. Just do your job. But this has been getting way too lax and out of hand. I think it's time that we settle it and settle it quickly.
Okay.
Should I pass the collection plate now for my sermon?
Well, we have some more correspondence here. We just got a letter from the state of Kansas. It's just stated that properties, Lincoln County Downtown Historic District. We are pleased to inform you that property is located at 216th East Lincoln Avenue, which is here, and then 116th North 2nd, 122 West Court, 114 West Court, are within the proposed Lincoln County Downtown Historic District and will be considered by the Kansas Historic Sites Board of Review for nomination to the National Register of Historic Places and the Register of Historic Kansas Places at their next meeting, February 2nd, 2020. You're invited but not required to attend this meeting, so forth, so on. So, we got a letter there.
As an adjunct to that, included in that is the red garage that is commonly known as the Zinc Garage at 134 North 3rd Street,
Where's that?
right across the road,
Oh, yeah.
which happens to belong to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
by the windmill?
yeah, next to the windmill. I'm unsure what the historical significance of that structure is, but if they want it, well, I care.
And we got some little handouts here for leadership, team building, and coaching skills. Maybe we should take all that, right? And that's all of that. Oh, we get from Mr. David Gersman, we got a printout from about Great Plains Health Alliance. He had, I think, did a CORA report or a COMA.
Cora request, and
Cora
that
request.
was the results of his
Right,
Cora request.
and this is some of the, he got some emails between different people at the hospital, and I don't think we need to review it tonight, unless you guys want to.
No,
I think it's something we can look over later about hospital management and how they were operating. I'll just save that for next week or later, if that's all right. Alexis, do you want to know anything more about that?
I think that might be a lengthy discussion.
Yeah.
It could be next week.
Yeah, there's a lot of material here. It would take a long time to go through. Okay. I have no other correspondence or anything. Do you have anything, Alexis or Jim? Or
I'm done.
Don? Anything else? All right, well,
Public questions or comment?
public, you got any questions, comments, praise for us, wonderful commissioners?
Yeah, Mr. Gableman's comment that you want admitted to the record, I'm a county employee, I'm also an EMT person. I have to have dual electronic devices on me. I'm
So?
just speaking as a general.
so,
So you not want me to have my EMT pager on me?
no, I
That's
said,
just what you said.
you, sir,
But
are,
not for personal use.
No, your medical use. You're an
Well,
EMT,
but
but I'm also,
he was referring to people doing personal business on county paid time.
but he's an EMT person. On call.
But
do you
serving
do
as
personal
a
business on that?
volunteer to the public, he's
I'm just
meaning
not-
like
I
personal
didn't say
phone
that. I
calls
said
to
medical.
boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, whatever.
I said personal business is what I said. Don't do personal business on county equipment.
But you said I could only have one device.
No, I didn't say that.
That's what I heard.
No, well, you can come up here and read the thing. There's no one device in there.
Well, I think for emergency stuff,
Well, that's what
it's common sense. What we're talking about, Jim, is so people don't get on the internet and surfing on eBay or on Amazon buying stuff while they're at work. Stuff like that. Things like that. And that, that's what we're talking about, I think, more than anything.
I think it might be appropriate for the commission to request browser history from the computers and just really see what's going on so we can get a good idea of what's happening. I also have complaints of people reading library books during work hours, at their desks while people are coming in from the public. So obviously there's a lot of downtime going on.
The county handbook says that all emails that are sent into the county, whether it be on personal computer or county computer, are the property of the county. Every email that comes into this courthouse belongs to the county. It doesn't say, if I love you, mama. It's the county's, and we are authorized to read that, and in fact encouraged to do it, and we're encouraged to discipline people for using county equipment for personal affairs. It says so in the book. Just read the book. That's all we want. Do what it says. It ain't hard.
Any other statements from the public about anything? You guys are awful quiet tonight.
I'm glad you had this meeting tonight.
We burned you out with all of our
Well, it's pretty long. We can
with
make
all
it
of our
shorter.
accounting, of
But-
all our resolutions of accounting. We burned you guys out, didn't we?
But I had other things to take care of this morning, so in my situation, why it worked out good.
Daryl, you got something?
Yeah, you're saying that, I don't completely disagree with you, Jim, about never bucking the boss. I've worked for some guys that, in the oil field, that they wanted an opinion. They wanted you to buck them some, to see if you had a better idea.
The county handbook accounts for that. And I in no way intended to imply that you couldn't.
I kind of took the implication
No.
that you're supposed to, if they said to go jump in the river, you're supposed, I don't go along with that kind of.
The county handbook, and you should study up on that, gives you plenty of guidance for they don't use the term whistleblower, but that's what you had in mind as a whistleblower operation.
No, I just had, you never followed the boss all the time. I was chewed on several times by a boss, but at the end of it, he said, you got a better idea than I do. So sometimes an employee can have a really good idea.
Yeah, and we agree with that, and that's covered in the handbook. We specifically talk about that because we want full communication up and down, all the way around to make this thing work. And we don't ask any more than just do your job. And if your job tells the boss that boss, I got a better idea, you got to tell him that's your job.
Being the person that has to enforce some of the regulations the commissioners pass, it's really hard when you have some departments that adhere to the regulations and other departments that choose not to. And I struggle with that
It's not
because
your job statutorily, though. You can always tell them, go talk to the commission. If I were you, I would just say, stop right there. That's not I have no authority over this. Go talk to the commissioners.
But that's not true, because when you're acting HR, you are supposed to handle all the complaints like that, and the complaints usually come interdepartmentally.
Correct.
So you really need to address the HR issue.
Yeah, we gotta help Dawn with the HR issue because she's overloaded with doing 2 jobs or 5 jobs really.
We're working on it. We're working.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're pursuing it. Anybody got anything else? If not, we'll get out of here.
When are we going to hear from John Grace next?
John Grace? Well, what happened, if you've heard when he was here at our meeting, wasn't you, that we were making this proposal. We were going to have our county attorney draw up, what was it, a bid? A request for proposal, I think, right, Alexis? You know better than I do, Alexis. What were we going to do with that?
We gave the county attorney 60 days to formulate a request for proposal. After that, the people who respond to the request for proposal will have 30 days to turn in their information to us based on what we send out, which are basically our statistics about our venture, so that they can see whether or not they're interested and kind of make a counter offer. We're not going to put numbers in our request. They are going to kind of talk to us about what they would offer to do if they were to purchase and then operate, or just purchase and then release. So we signed an additional 6 months with John Grace, That way, if there is a transfer of property, he could potentially be the new tenant to the new owner, or I should say, the residual tenant to the new owner for that amount of time until they work something out. Otherwise, if someone wants to purchase it, they may actually need to negotiate with him about buying out his license. So that company, whoever may own the building in the future, if they want to also operate the business, they may be negotiating with him on a private level that has nothing to do with the county.
When is that time?
So it would be all of December and January, I believe, is what the county attorney is utilizing for time to put that information together. So then we were hoping through the month of February we would get some responses, and maybe by March we could be talking to some different companies who are interested in purchasing. So that gives April, May, and June, July, August, September. I think it went through November with the additional 6 months.
22 November.
So John Grace is basically the tenant until November of 2020.
And also part of the stipulation on that request for proposal was that they had to operate that as a nursing home. They can't just buy it and shut it down and turn it into an office complex or something. It has to operate as a nursing home. We are still going to offer to, as part of this deal, to give them some of the subsidy we've been given for a maintenance and a repair thing to keep it stable for a 3-year period.
At one time, we thought May was termination.
Well, the May was, that's when His Grace's lease would end in May. But we voted a month or so ago to extend that now to November, but also we're planning for this request for proposal to sell this facility. And, but with that option though, they have to run it as a nursing home. Yeah, Gerald.
Did you set a dollar amount on that for each year? I mean,
No,
how much can they spend?
we didn't put any.
Well, we didn't
dollars
really
in.
do that dollar amount.
Yeah.
Well, we have up to, this next year, we have up to 100,000 we budgeted. Now, we budgeted 120,000 this year. We spent approximately 80 some or so we haven't spent what we all budgeted. Now, next year we budgeted 100,000. Now, that doesn't mean, I don't know if we will every year after that.
There are other issues involved, past rent and stuff like that.
Yeah,
A
they
lot
have
of
passed
detail to
rent.
be worked
I
out.
understand that, but still, the way you kind of stated that, you left it open that the money was, that nobody said anything about I want $500,000 this year.
No.
But you never, the way you stated it.
No, I know what
you
you're saying,
were
no.
kind of deceiving.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, next year in 2020 is,
So you have kind of got to talk.
well, we got
cap
100,
on
well,
it.
we've already budgeted 100,000 for
Well,
that.
first of all, it's limited to physical repairs.
Yeah, physical
So
repairs.
it wouldn't just be operating expense. It would be limited to physical repairs. And then it would be limited to whatever we have in our budget. So right now, we set it to 100,000 even,
So you
didn't we?
did cap it.
Yeah. Well, for this year, but next year, this budget for next year will
You might
budget for
cap it a little
21,
higher, but
21.
it-
Yeah. Now, if they,
You're going to cap it every year so that you know
Yeah.
where your cap
well,
is.
right, probably
Okay.
around this 100,000. Yeah, Sharon.
Did you guys put a minimum on what you're gonna sell this for? I mean, do you have to have a certain price out of the
No, it's open for bids.
nursing home? So if somebody bid $1, they could get it for $1.
If he's a successful bidder.
We have the right of refusal, and we do not have to accept bids. But we are putting it up for bid.
Yeah. We're not going to give it away. And
What's the figure on that? When you say you won't give it away, where you're,
Well, I
you
don't-
need to make a bottom dollar thought of where you're.
Yeah.
That's where the RFP comes in.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
And also, some people think we're just going to set it up to sell it to Mr. Grace. That's not necessarily true. We've had some other individuals I've been hearing that are interested also besides him. So I think there'll be a bidding process there going on, hopefully. But yeah, we haven't really set a value. They talked some numbers, but we haven't set
Well,
anything.
the reason I said that here, if you're buying a piece of land or something,
Right.
somebody says it's not an absolute auction, they say, well, they're not going to sell it because they wanted this much. Well, why don't you just start off and say, well, we need this much to start with, otherwise don't even bid.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do is get an appraisal.
That's not a bad idea, but you need to have a bottom someplace
Yeah.
where it's solid.
That's a good point. We haven't really done that yet. We were kind of waiting on the RSP with Jennifer writing that up, and then I think we're gonna go to the appraisal part and all that, and maybe have a minimum bid value. That's a good point.
Well, if somebody comes in and bids and you just say, well, that ain't enough.
Right.
I got somebody else bid more. Any more, I don't like that. Set it and so you know.
Well, that's like some things at an auction.
Yeah.
If they don't get their minimum price, they won't sell it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I said about a piece of land. If
So,
you can't, if you don't know where in the hell you're going, it's hard to get there.
so is there a reason that you don't just sell it like a lot of this stuff gets sold out on the courthouse steps? And the highest bidder gets it?
Well, that's
Then
like
you have a closed bid,
That's an absolute auction.
that's like a tax sale there, sheriff's sale. That what you're talking about on the courthouse steps.
but I mean, if you're gonna have sealed bids, if you had it auctioned off, they could keep raising it, where if you do sealed bids, you're stuck there. The next person can't raise it again because you've already accepted that bid.
Yeah. Well, you got good points, sir. We haven't really got into that far yet.
There is some negotiating to do with numbers. We do need to talk about that. And we were afraid to put anything out there initially because we don't want people pre-calculating what they think they can get as a maximum out of the commission.
That's something that we need to discuss when we give our county attorney doing the request for proposal about all those issues you just brought up. That's good information. Anything else? Alexis, got anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Gableman?
Move adjourn.
Okay. You have a motion to adjourn. I second it. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
We adjourn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis.